Oh, okay. I thought they submitted, but would wanted to tender an apology for Honorable Mr. Duma. He has other commitment. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other apology? Yes, ma'am.
Morning, Chair. I've got my senior, Ma'am Loy, who is finding her way to the venue from eThekwini municipality.
Thank you for that. Is there any other apology, colleagues? Yes.
Thank you, Chairperson. I got an apology from Honorable Winkler. However, she sent Honorable Coley as an alternate. And then the legal advisor, Mrs. Wilson, is also not be able to attend. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can I then check for the check hands for the adoption of the agenda, colleagues? Honorable Masiko, followed by the Honorable Nkwanyan.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Good morning to your good self, the honorable members, the HOD, as well as the officials from the department and the entire team. I move, Honorable Chairperson, for the adoption of the agenda. Thank you.
Honorable Nkwanyan.
Morning, Chairperson, officials, and my colleagues as well. I just want to support the adoption of the agenda.
Thank you so much, Honorable Mam Nkwanyan. The agenda has been adopted. In the absence of the Honorable MEC Mtombeni, will not have the remarks. Aside from wishing the Upengu good luck on his exam, and I told he's writing today. We hope that because he's absent, at least he will pass his paper. It will be criminal of him to be absent at work and fail his paper. Please pass our remarks to him. Colleagues, we are moving on to the departmental reports. I will hand over item 7 to the department. And colleagues will come on item 8 to discuss the reports that would have been tabled by the department. Please, colleagues, do note the questions that you may have for the department so that we have a fruitful discussion on item 8. Out of courtesy, can I just check on the colleagues online if we are audible? The Honorable Coley and the Honorable Gokul.
Morning, Chair. Yes, you are. I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay, thank you.
Please, if you have any questions, colleagues online, just jot them down and we'll go through the presentation, the reports by the department, and then we can engage later on. Over to you, HOD.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson Menziwa. I have already greeted members of the Portfolio Committee. The first report, 7.1, will be presented by our acting Chief Director, Corporate Services, Ms. Anderson. Thank you.
Sorry, ma'am. My apologies. Can you just activate your mic so that the colleagues online can hear you? So sorry about that.
Hope I'm doing it correctly. It's on. Sorry, to the members online. I'll start again, but I'm not going to start from the very, very beginning, but I'll just sum up. In terms of Rocky Park, previously, it was reported that the department, together with the municipality, was going to bring a court application in respect of the occupancy. Colleagues would be aware, and members of the portfolio committee would be aware that a number of blocks have been invaded and those occupants have been in occupancy for a number of years. And in order for us to move forward with the project, there's a need for a court order to deal with the profiling and to assist in preparation for the eviction application. So a court application was launched and an interim order was granted on the 11th of June, 2025. And this order authorized the municipality, together with members of SAPS, private security, and the sheriff, to access the Rocky Park project and to do profiling in respect of occupancy. The occupants were directed to allow access and to cooperate by providing information relating to their identity, their personal circumstances, so that profiling could take place, so that we could comply with the requirements of PI. Provision was made for substituted service through publication in local newspapers and notices placed at the entrances. Furthermore, the occupants were authorized to attend to furnishing the required information to the municipality. The return date for the rule NISI, as I said, its interim order was the 15th of August this year, and that order was confirmed. So it was made final. The municipality, with the assistance of SAPS, was ordered and mandated to protect and ensure that the occupants cannot be evicted without a court order, but also that there can be no removing, confiscating, or damaging of immovable property during the verification process. So there was a lot of back and forth in terms of the occupants. I think I'll be honest and state that most of the occupants are not indigent people. So they were more concerned that during the profiling exercise that their assets and their furniture and those kind of things would be disrupted. And obviously within the final order, those protection measures were in place. But the ultimate goal was to ensure that SAPS assists the private security in respect of the profiling and the further actions required for eviction to occur. So after that final order was made, the next steps will be the eviction process. So we as the department will be assisting and monitoring this particular matter. But on the previous occasion, we had an action plan. So from August till now, the municipality has been reporting to us in respect of the profiling. We've given them till the end of October. Once they've completed with the profiling, when we report next to the committee, we'll then include an action plan in terms of the eviction process. Bearing in mind, Chair and members, that it is October and the courts do not allow evictions between December and January, the 15th of December and the 15th of January. So in terms of our detailed action plan, we'll be liaising with the municipality, and on the next occasion, we'll present that action plan once the profiling is complete. But I can give the chairperson and the members some comfort that from what we've picked up, most of those occupants are not entitled to any protections under PI for now. So they're about 60% complete in terms of profiling. So by the end of October, hopefully, they will have a complete report, and then we'll deal with the eviction process. Once the eviction process is completed, then the built environment specialists will be able to then assess the condition of those buildings and take whatever necessary steps there are to either complete remedial work or to proceed with demolition if need be. So that is my report. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, members of the committee.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I must say, Honorable Chair, because questions may arise. As we reported last time, that the forensic report on Rocky Park was completed, and it was given to both Honorable MEC and the municipality. Then the municipality presented it to council last time. We're still waiting information from our Honorable MEC on our side. That is why there will be no action in terms of a forensic report recommendations, because MEC has not yet provided the department with those recommendations or report. Now 7.2 will be taken by CFO.
Good morning to the Honourable Chairperson, Honourable Members, HODA and colleagues. Chairperson, the report was provided. I think we're still trying to flight it, but I'll just proceed to give the contents for now. I will be dealing with the department's programs, the priority areas for the department for the MTF period, the allocations, then the receipts and financing, and equitable share allocation, conditional grant allocation per intervention, then per district, and just a summary of that, and then the drawdowns for the 26-27 financial year. Chairperson, can I proceed with? The department has 4 programs. The first is administration and housing needs research and planning, the housing development and the housing asset management. The aim and strategic objectives and outputs of these programs haven't changed, and they're coordinated at the national level, and there were no changes at the time of preparing the budget. It must be noted that the department is funding the activities of the Housing Fund under Program 4, and due to the fact that the Housing Fund has to comply with the generally recognized accounting practice, GRAP, then it has become necessary that our budgeting and reporting gives an indication that the department is funding this entity. In terms of slide 4, Program 1, Administration, the purpose of this program is to identify and eliminate bottlenecks and to continuously improve the flow of financial administrative management information, and the objective is to strengthen governance and service delivery. Under Program 2 on page 5, the Housing Needs Research and Planning Program, the purpose of this is to develop tools to guide the department's investment decisions and to provide policies and support to the delivery process. In addition, we provide facilitation and integration of the housing sector planning, education of stakeholders, alignment of the housing budget with the current and future housing needs, and capacitation of stakeholders for our delivery processes through mentoring and training. It has 4 sub-programs: administration, policy, planning, and research. In the slide 6, the Program 3. This program is responsible for the implementation of housing delivery within all districts, including eThekwini Metro, through various subsidy instruments. It's also expected to achieve certain key strategic objectives through the implementation of programs using various subsidy instruments: individual, project-linked, institutional, consolidation, relocation, disaster management, social housing, rectification, social and economic facilities, and rural housing. So this is our core delivery program. It consists of 5 sub-programs: administration, financial interventions, incremental interventions, social and rental interventions, and rural interventions. Our Program 4, which is our housing ex-Natal Provincial Administration and Own Affairs housing stock, includes residential properties, vacant land, and a variety of non-residential properties, all of which belong to the Housing Fund. In terms of its mandate, all properties will on a progressive basis be transferred to individual occupants in terms of the enhanced extended discount benefit scheme, or will be disposed of in the open market. Some properties will also be devolved to municipalities. In cases where we cannot transfer, the stock will remain rental stock in the vote, and once the fund is disestablished in March 2027, all stock will revert to the vote. It consists of 4 sub-programs: administration, sale and transfer of housing properties, and housing property maintenance. On slide 8, the priority areas for the department. Over the MTF period, we are continuing to implement and respond to the MTDP strategic priorities, as well as our strategic outcomes within the department. This includes investing in priority development areas, continued implementation of urban and rural housing programs, social and rental housing programs, the community residential units and other programs that support home ownership for the subsidy and affordable housing market, amongst others. We increased focus is placed on service sites, providing homeowners with title deeds, as well as identifying and upgrading of informal settlements on a phased basis. Job creation initiatives and programs supporting economic transformation, such as the Siaka Incubation Program, is also being undertaken. The department will address the Priority 3 through the implementation of the Audit Improvement Plan that will ensure that the measures, processes, and systems and controls by the department are effectively managed to support the achievement of a clean audit outcome in line with the department's 5-year strategic outcome, amongst others. The department, on the next slide 9, will continue to place emphasis on improving organizational efficiency through the organizational functionality assessment, self-assessment, as well as the digital transformation strategy to assist us in streamlining work processes and enhancing service delivery. Our annual strategic planning process is currently underway, and we will continue to identify other areas that require our priority. On slide 10, the allocation over the MTF period, our baseline allocation was 3.260 billion, and then 2027 is 3.407 billion, and the out year is the same. At this point, the Human Settlements Development Grant, which is our core function, is 2.633 billion, and then 2.752 in the outer years. The Informal Settlements Upgrading Partnership Grant was 170.9 million. It's 178.7 million in the out years. We haven't received an allocation for EPWP grant at this point. Our total conditional grant allocation is 2.804 and then 2.930 billion in the outer years. The equitable share allocation is 455.9 million and then 476.5 million and 497.9 million in the outer years. On slide 11, our equitable share grant is 436.3 billion in terms of receipts and financing, then 455.9 million and 476.5 million and 497.9 million. The Human Settlements Development Grant, the total allocation is 2.599, then 2.633 and 2.752 in the outer years. Informal Settlements Upgrading Partnership Grant for the revised estimate was 508.8 million. That's dropped significantly to 170.9 million and 178.7 million in the outer years. In the current year, our EPWP grant is 5.2 million. Moving on to slide 12. Our allocation per program, our administration program in the current year was 283 million. It's 296, 309, and 323 million in the outer years. The housing needs research and planning was 21.1 million. It's 24.4, 25.5, and 26.6. The housing development was 3.054 billion, and then it's down to 2.790 billion, then 2.937 billion, and 2.942 billion. Program 4 was 190.3 million. Its MTF was 148.6, 134.6, and 136.1 million. The next slide is just a narrative in terms of what I've just presented. So I'm going to move on to slide 14. And in terms of our equitable share allocation for the administration, program 1, it was 283, it's 296, 309, and 323 million. Housing needs research and planning was 21.1, it's 24.4, 25.5, and 26.6. The housing development was 101.4, it's 103.2, 107.9, and 112.7. The housing assets management is 29.7 million. It out years is 31.9, 33.3, and 34.8 million. Some analysis on page 15. The equitable share allocation was affected by the fiscal consolidation reduction over the MTF period to the value of 15.738 million in 24-25, 15.5 million in 25-26, and 16.6 million in 26-27. This baseline allocation was negatively impacted by the previous year's budget cuts, as well as the unfunded wage increases in the 23 and 24 years. The department funded this from existing budgets, and this increased the spending pressures experienced by the department. During the reprioritization, we've identified various areas of savings as a result of implementing a moratorium on filling of non-critical vacant posts, as well as the implementation of various cost-cutting measures. The cost-cutting measures, as prescribed by Provincial Treasury Circular, were stringently adopted and implemented during the budget process, and it resulted in a reduction in various items, including goods and services, machinery, equipment, bulk advertisement, venues for departmental events, and subsistence and travel costs. On page 16, the conditional grant allocations per intervention. As mentioned previously, we have 4 interventions. Financial intervention, our estimate for the 25-26 year was 600.7 million. 26-27 was 514.3 and 564.6 and 567.3. Incremental interventions was 1 billion 800,000. It's now 815.7 million. 794 million and 788.6 million. Social and rental interventions was 106.8. It's now 187.4, 239 million and 230 million. Rural interventions was 1.397 billion, then it's 1.285 billion, 1.33 billion, and 1.344 billion in the outer years. Chairperson, the next slide talks to the individual allocations per the municipalities, district municipalities. The table is available for the members to go through. Basically, this is based on the business plans for each of the districts, and it is based on projects that are currently in the planning and top structure phases. So it's budgeted based on those allocations. It is discussed with municipalities, and our business plans get approved by the National Human Settlements Department. On page 18, during the preparations of this MTF budget, we compiled the Human Settlements Development Grant Business Plan and the Informal Settlements Upgrading Business Plan. This was due for submission at the end of August, and this was done. The outcome of this exercise will be reflected in the second draft in the month of November. It just mainly affects the outer years. The Financial Intervention Sub-Program provides for financial support to procure services through relating to housing delivery, and this includes the implementation of the finance-linked individual subsidy program, the operational costs for accredited municipalities, enrollment fees for the NHBRC for all our housing programs, the operations capital budget that supports the capacity of so that we can implement the grants, the management of catalytic projects, as well as the implementation of the anti-land invasion strategy, amongst other programs. We utilized 5% of the Human Settlements Development Grant and the Informal Settlements Grant to fund operational capital budget, amounting to 131.6 million for the Human Settlements Grant and 8.5 million for the Informal Settlements Grant. Incremental interventions contribute to the achievement of Outcome 8 targets and ensures sustainable human settlements. On slide 19, the sub-program Social and Rental Interventions provides for the Community Residential Units Program, which aims at creating a sustainable, affordable, and secure rental housing option for households. The program's Rural Interventions is specifically for rural housing subsidy. The budget is informed by the development programs of projects, both at planning and implementation, as I mentioned previously, and it's agreed between the department, municipalities, and the implementing agents. It is noteworthy to see that there is a decreasing trend on both the Human Settlements Development Grant and the Informal Settlements Upgrading Grants. This is due to budget cuts that were implemented over the MTF period to the value of 491 million for the 24-25 year, 656 million for the 25-26 year, and 960 million in the 26-27 year. The budget for planning of new projects is therefore limited. Chairperson, on slides 20 and 21, we list the cash drawdowns based on our business plans for the Human Settlements Development Grant and the Informal Settlements Upgrading Grant. For the HSDG, it's 783 million in quarter 1, 822 million in quarter 2, 586 in quarter 3, and 440 in quarter 4. For the Informal Settlements Upgrading Grant on page 21, it's 76.8 million in quarter 1, 34.2 million in quarter 2, 26.5 million in quarter 3, and 33.2 million in quarter 4. Chairperson, that brings me to the end of the summary of the budget. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. Thobaletu 7.3 update on Thobaletu housing project will be presented by Chief Director, Sustainable Human Settlements, Mr. Makakula.
Honorable Chairperson, honorable members, the HOD, CFO, and the colleagues, and all present. I will take you through Thobaletu housing project. The second slide deals with the content of the presentations, which is the background and the correct team and the progress to date, as well as the recommendations. The next slide, which is slide 3, deals with the challenges that relate to the project itself, which are in line with, which are based on the sewer, the stormwater, the water, and the access road. And I will not take the members through the whole background, as the background is already, as the members are already familiar with the background. I will take you to slide 7, which deals with the correct team, and the challenges are also dealt there with as to the correct team that is working on the project, trying to deal with all those matters, which include addressing the water source, upgrading of the sanitation system, the electricity, the road and the surfacing of the road, and to prevent, as well as to prevent theft on site, fast track the completion of the units, and so that they can then be occupied. The next slide, which is slide 8, deals with the teams that are already appointed or that are appointed on site, which is for the water borehole, design for the water purification plant, the design for the pump station, the design for the reticulation, water reticulation from the pump station. That was is finalized, and the appointment was done by the CIVTEC, by the King Cetshwayo District Municipality. CIVTEC is the appointed service provider. Construct the reservoir and upgrade 2 boreholes. MN Africa is appointed, and that was appointed by the department. Completion of the units, 512 units that are there. Groundworks is the service provider appointed by the department. Erect the 20 MVA electrical substation. ZLM engineering is appointed by Umthonjaneni municipality. Construction of roads, as the MIC funding application was approved. CIVTEC is appointed by Umthonjaneni municipality. Upgrade of sewer system for Thobaletu township. Umbelihle Holdings is appointed by the district municipality in Cetshwayo. The construction of the retaining wall phase 1 is yet pending and is just about to be concluded by the Department of Human Settlements. The next slide, which is slide 9, deals with the progress in the water sources, in sourcing the water. The members will recall that the department had made funding available, and the EIA process in this case has been submitted, and the report was due on the 25th. Actually, this will be the results of the report. what has then transpired is that the report was circulating and the comments have been made, and the district will then be providing progress in the next meeting that we will be having in relation to the water source, so that we are then able to extract water through the borehole. Then the slide 10, which is then the 11, which then deals with the interim sewer upgrades. The department has then appointed the groundworks, which is that appointment was finalized. The work commenced on the interim services on the old township, and the commissioning of the sewer work there is just pending the installation of the generator, the storage tank, and the rising main. The septic tank on the opposite township is on hold due to the water supply, as it is not yet finalized. The next slide, which is slide 12, then deals with the sewer upgrade that is required, the pond system that required upgrading. The district has awarded the Melmoth waste treatment water refurbishments. The contractor was handed over to site on the 2nd of September 2025. The project is anticipated to be completed in 5 months after it has then started now in September. The electrical capacity upgrade that is required, as we are aware that INEP funding was sourced. The works at the main station has also commenced with the civil works underway, such as wet earthworks and layers. So they have then started with that works. When we go to slide 14, we deal with then the road surfacing. The road surfacing, which is phase 1, has then been completed. The first phase of it has been completed. And the second phase, the contractor is just about to be appointed. It is at the adjudication stage by the municipality. The prevention of the further stealing of the material on site. What we found, the chairperson and the members, was that most people who were going there to steal were using cars and going in. And so then the trenches were dug to prevent the entry at the entry point, so that there will be no further access to the site. Then if we go to the next slide, the issues of completion of the units and the old townships, we did a report, and the report has then been finalized, which then the amendment of the scope is being evaluated to see to actually undertake the remedial works. And once that includes the unblocking of the sewer line in phase 1, and that will allow 242 units then to be implemented. The next slide, which is slide 16, deals with the funding that has been made available. The INEP 16 million rands has been made available. That is for the electrical capacity, increasing the electrical capacity. The road phase 1, 10 million MIG funding has been 10.7 million rands. MIG funding has been approved and received. The additional 10.9 million rands will be then for phase 2, and that is anticipated to be provided this financial year. As the department as well, we have under the HSD last financial year had a budget of 68 million under the HSDG. Then there is also ISUPG, which is 16 million, and of that, the 5 million rands expenditure was incurred. This financial year, we also have some money that we have put into this for this project. And blocking, there is 1.9 million rands that is available, and there is 15 million rands that is available in the business plan. Once the matters have been resolved, then the slide 17 there is an OSS case which was reported to the department, and the beneficiary was already part of that project. On the sites that were available on the project, the house was built and was handed over in September, and there they are on the picture with the DTG, Mr. Pengu, which he was representing the MEC on the day, because the MEC could not go at the 11th hour due to other pressing matters. So the house was built and handed over to Kokos Mlane. Then the next slide is then dealing with the critical part of the project, that for this project to work, the sewer on the old township, which is leaking, and in some certain areas, that is being dealt with as part of the sewer rehabilitation system that is there, upgrading the treatment works that is done by the district municipality, the finalization of transfer and zoning of the borehole. This is being undertaken by Umthonjaneni municipality. The engineering designs have now been submitted for the infrastructure to the King Cetshwayo district municipality, and they are thus evaluating these designs for approval, and we are waiting for the approvals from the King Cetshwayo district. There is also, as part of the critical path, there is part of the road crossing bridge which is required, that the DOT is currently being engaged by Umthonjaneni, and there is also a steel pipe that is to carry the water next to the bridge. There is a discussion between the King Cetshwayo district and the DOT to actually design and agree on how that pipe crossing will then take place. They are anticipating that they will want to use maybe installing it closer to the bridge or next to the bridge, and therefore the two will then come up with the final matter. Then the full EIA, which is still required, which is the environmental impact assessment. And once this has been finalized, then the works will then start in terms of the water and the borehole. We are still waiting then for the finalization of the EIA, so that then this process will then be finalized. Then it will then be, the last matter will then be obtaining the final rezoning on that township, so that then everything can then be registered on the general plan, and then the construction of top structures can then start in the new township, which is on the right-hand side as well. The last slide, which is the slide on the recommendation, we are requesting that the members note this progress, the work done by the CREC team since the inception, the progress of the work on the ground as implemented by Umthonjaneni and the department and the other stakeholders, that most impending issues and the dependency factors in Itubalito are now being attended to. There is a grand scheme underway to supply the water from Pobane Dam to Melmoth, and this is going to take approximately between 4 to 8 years, which will then be the final solution for this area. And the scheme will then reach Tubaletu, and then it will then be the final solution. What we are doing now is mainly the interim solution. Whilst the project has been unblocked, there are 8 aspects that remain on the critical path, which I have then dealt with earlier, and that there is an interim solution provided by the department, and this interim solution involves the upgrade of the borehole, the installation of the purification plant, the erection of the water pump station, and the installing of the rising main to deliver water in the uphill to uphill and to the proposed storage tank. That is my submission, Chairperson and members. I would like to stop there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson and members. Honorable Chairperson, the next item 7.4 will be taken by the same Chief Director. But I must say, while he's preparing for this presentation, the Tubale-2 project, as well as what he will present now, all of them was caused by lack of coordination at the beginning, because we should not have started what will be presented and what has been presented if we planned properly. So how then the presentation will be done? We are going to present stalled projects as well as unblocked projects, so that you will see that there is progress. We'll show you how many 16 projects that are stalled currently and how many have been unblocked, so that you will see that we are moving forward. Then Mr. Makakula will present.
Honorable Chairperson and honorable members, once again, thank you. I will take you to the project of the blocked projects. Seems like I opened the wrong one first. Sorry for that. The blocked projects is the one that I will start off with. There is then the purpose, which is page 2, and then the slide 3 then deals with the purpose, and that we wanted to appraise the meeting of the projects that are blocked, highlight the nature of the challenges and proposed interventions, and as well as progress on these matters. Slide 5 deals with the definition, members. This definition is a definition that has been adopted at a national level. That projects, what do they mean when they are talking about block projects? They are saying that the projects that are approved, the project approval is the project that must have been approved by the Honorable MSC, his or her delegated authority. That project must be part of what is one of the national housing, is in the national housing programs, and there must be a contractual relationship that existed for that project to be called it is blocked. The project must have commenced, and the project must have commenced in terms of works on the ground, and then that will fit into the definition of what the block project is, and the progress, the lack of progress, then from the inception of the project and or to date on which previous and the first progress payment was made, at least there must be a period of 12 months that there has been no works and there has been no claiming of anything on site. Then the number 6 point there also deals with the project must at least be 95%, must be less than 95% complete for it to be deemed to be blocked. In the next slide, we deal with what is then excluded in terms of blocked projects. What is then excluded, members, it's dealing with where the transfers are yet to be finalized due to pending matters, where the house has been built, or commitment, as most of the commitment has been made to the beneficiary. However, maybe the beneficiary died before the house could be handed over, then will require the winding up of the estate of that beneficiary, and at least 90% must have been completed in terms of the final payments of that. So we will then no longer deem that to be blocked. There are some areas as well where geotechnical, some sites are then reduced, some projects are then reduced in terms of phases of geotechnical problems. because of those problems, and then some sites are no longer feasible to develop, and where those are okay, then that project will be reduced, and then it will no longer have the original yield. The project and the phasing of the projects, where the first phase has been completed and the second phase has issues in starting, then that project or second phase will not be deemed to be blocked if the first phase has been completed and all contractual matters have been made finalized. We also have the national description saying that PHP, or what was known as People's Housing Process, where beneficiaries had to build themselves, and therefore that would not form part of the definition of the block projects. Institutional housing subsidy, where the units are built under an institutional program, and that will require a different mechanism to unblock. And the next slide, Chairperson, we are dealing with maybe a synopsis of the three categories which the head of department has mentioned. What exactly we mean by projects that are blocked, unblocked, projects that have to be closed out. In the category of projects that that are blocked, we make a scenario of a house in the middle of the road where there is no physical movement, and therefore the road cannot be completed, and therefore that becomes a blocked. And where the house has been removed, and the owners have either accepted compensation and agreed to relocate, we make that scenario to show that then the contractor is now back on site. Then we will then mean that that project itself is now unblocked, and where the project has to be closed out, it's because either they are unable to move, and therefore we have to make a detour and then have to close the project at a lesser number of kilometers than originally anticipated. The slide 9 deals with the 16 projects where they are. Amajuba, we have one. Ukoko district, we have one as well. Ilembe 8. King Kechwayo, 1, Umgungundlovu 2, Umkhanyakude 1, and Uthukela and Zululand all sharing having 1 there. Then the next slide, which is slide slide 10, deals with the Amajuba 1. What we have done here, Chairperson, we have then given the project information as to what this project entails, and the original project is meant to do or to complete 1,000 units, 1,200 units. The first phase was approved for 500, and only 295 units were built out of the first phase of 500. Then DAVCON Properties were the appointed or are the appointed implementing agents. We must then little bit deal with the background, but what actually blocked this project is that the project was receiving water from the Mpumalanga province, and at a particular point in time, the demand was high in Mpumalanga, so they just closed the tap to KZN, and then KZN had to find its way for the people who are on the borderline, and therefore that caused the project to be blocked. And in the next slide, slide 12, it shows out of the 200 and out of the 500 first phase, what was completed and what was not completed, which is 299 foundations with 201 outstanding, and maybe the completions 295, and what is outstanding being 205. As I have mentioned, Chair, the issue that blocked the project is the non-availability of bulks then to supply the water. The Newcastle municipality in this case is also the Water and Service Authority. So they have sourced funding to upgrade and to get some boreholes as an interim solution. They have started with one, however, there are 5 required, and therefore the project will remain blocked until the Water Service Authority has managed to construct the required boreholes as the interim solutions on this for this project. Then Umkhanyakude chairperson, this project is on our list, which is slide 14, is in our list. However, the original project of 426 units were actually delivered. However, at some point in time, they were delivered around year 2000, and they had requested the rectification on this project, and they remained unrectified due to beneficiary challenges. A number of people living in this project are no longer the original beneficiaries. They had then moved out, and then the houses were occupied. Either they are now occupied by the wrong people, and according to our policy, we are then unable to, if the original beneficiary is not there, we are unable to deal with the rehabilitation of that. And we will then proceed, Chair, in slide 15 to with SEM processes once the beneficiary matters have been resolved between Umhlabuya Lingana, and most of those people are coming from the traditional authority there in Umhlabuya Lingana. And once this has been finalized, then we will then be able to proceed with procurement. Slide 15, 16, deals with Umgungundlovu in Sidara chairperson, which is the next project. Under Sidara, it's a project that was meant to deliver 623 units. However, only 100 units were delivered. The 100 units were delivered because it was only what the bulk infrastructure could only carry, and the rest of the units could not be built and therefore remain unconstructed. Only 100 units are constructed, and this is based on this infrastructure that still requires upgrading. If you go to slide 18, we are talking about the insufficient bulk services that the district municipality needs to unlock and to fund. And then there is a minor matter there on the school site encroaching on the project, but that is just losing about 13 sites. These 13 sites can then be revised in terms of the layout. However, the bigger issue on this one is insufficient bulks. Khayelisha is the next project in the Umgungundlovu district, and Khayelisha chairperson is almost the same as Sidara. The services there. This project is anticipated to deliver 1,500 units. However, what was approved due to the limited infrastructure that was there, it could only take 500. And however, even that 500, they required some commitment from the district to build reservoirs, and they have not managed to build this bulk infrastructure. This is targeting some few communities around which are living in the informal settlements, which is in Tweedy area and Shia Bazali area. Only then 500 services were constructed, and we are unable to move to the next phase of the units. Uthugela district, slide 21, Kukuletu housing project. Kukuletu housing project, it's where there are services that were built, 500 services, and 221 units were delivered. And here the issue is based on the layout and the nature in the rural area where it is. And at the beginning, the community accepted that it will be a township. But when the township was being built, then they said they are not going to move back to the project area. And this requires the municipality to replan the area and then be in a position to to then deal with and these people and then put them back into where it will have to extend the planning area or boundary to include the beneficiaries where they are living, because at this point in time they are refusing to come to where the project area or boundary is. Then in King Kechwayo slide 26, Mhlana Masikane Rural Housing Project. In this project here, the contractor was terminated. Mfolozi, this project is anticipating or was anticipating to build 1,000 units. Only 164 units were delivered, and this matter went to court, and it favored the municipality because of challenges there, and the service provider was then terminated. We have now, with the application that has come to the department, this one in the next in the next financial year, it will no longer be part of this program of the block project, as we have now received an approval to resuscitate the project. We are now taking over the appointment of the service provider. The service provider will be appointed by the department in at least by December, and then this will then form part of our budget and business plan going forward from 2026-2027 financial year. In Zululand, we have Ngochane Housing Project. The project is for 488 units. Only 400 units were delivered. The 88 could not be delivered because of the water infrastructure. There was 88 sites are affected by the water, which is no longer sufficient to go to that area. And we have commissioned a report, and the report has come back and said it will require about 60 million odd, and therefore, looking at the cost benefits of developing 88 units versus 65 million rands plus minus, it looks a little bit difficult on our side. We will require the involvement of the municipality or the district municipality to assist. And what we are also doing is to apply to the national department and other spheres to assist us with that funding, so that at least we can then go back and close that project. In Ilembe, Chief Albert Ntuli, we had dealt with this one previously in the portfolio committee. This is the project where Lady Brick was appointed, and they were meant to do 1,000 units under the program that was called EPHP, and they couldn't deliver. And we have, I think, in slide 35, we are dealing with the reasons for various matters that affected this project, one of them being poor workmanship, poor non-performance by both the municipality, and then the municipality then terminated the services of this service provider. We have then repackaged this project as part of the rectification, as well as addressing the remaining project matters. We presented this report at our committee internally, and the approval has also been granted. We had learned that yesterday. The approval then came yesterday, just after finalizing the report, and the IA will then, or the implementing agent will be appointed by December, and will also form part of the business plan in 26-27 financial year, so that we can then start also moving this project outside this list of block projects. Tafeni, Chair, is almost the same thing. The Lady Brick is part of the Tafeni as well, and the similar matters. Then the approval has also been granted there, and there will also only be rehabilitation of approximately 166 units that will also require rehabilitation and the rebuilding of those out of the 700. We have also received the approval as well. As I said yesterday, the approvals came through, and then the appointment will be done by December. We should then in the following year be ready to start with the implementation on this project, and therefore it will then move out of the list of the block projects. Sakumkhanya, it's where that we anticipated to build 2,224 units. The sites were delivered and there were issues of invasion. Then
my apologies there. Makakula, there's a hand from the Honorable Masiko.
It's just that I know that there are a number of presentations after this one, but I just need to check whether we're understanding each other. Within the table, there's a reference to internal services. I just need to check whether I'm on the same page on the understanding of what internal services refers to. If we can just briefly explain what that internal services, because you have internal services and then you have slabs, wall pallets, foundation, and what do we refer to exactly when we are referring to internal services?
Yes, please respond.
Thank you, Chair. By internal services, when you are looking at a township, internal services are referring to the road network, which is called road reticulation, sewer reticulation, stormwater design, and electrical in some cases, but we are not providing electricity. We do provide water, stormwater, and sewer reticulation. That will be in the main the internal reticulation. Sorry for not having described it somewhere in the report. Sorry.
No problem. Masiko, all right. Okay, you may proceed.
Thank you, Chair. On the slide, I think it's slide 40, we are then dealing with Sakamkhanya. This is the project which had land invasions, and 421 units were developed, and most of the issues relating to the service, the tipping obo, were tipping obo and associates was then terminated by the municipality based on the matters of SARS, land invasion, and etc. What we have done in this one, Chairperson, is that we are in a process to appoint a service provider to undertake the technical assessment, and it will also require the planning, the replanning of the project, taking into account the invasion that has taken place. This also served in our committee, and the approval has also been processed, and we are anticipating that the solution will start being implemented in the next financial year, as this will form part of our business plan. Rocky Park has then been dealt with. I am not going to deal with Rocky Park, but it forms part of our blocked project. Bozamo is a rural housing project. Amakawe Consulting was appointed. Sorry, Chair, it's an urban housing project. This one, I said rural. NHBRC was also appointed to look into how, because the original project here was completed. However, then there were issues with quality, and then the NHBRC report had to undertake a report on what will require to be rehabilitated. There were complaints with the NHBRC report, and then the department also appointed a service provider to complete what was left behind by NHBRC, and that report has then been finalized, a submission requesting funding for approval for the rectification was then approved by the MEC, which is then we are anticipating that we will then undertake the rehabilitation of this project under the department, and then we are anticipating that by December we would have completed the appointment and then the procurement, and then in the next financial year's business plan, we will then be in a position to rehabilitate the 173 units that have been identified in the report. Aldenville is the same as the Sakamkhanya. I will not deal with it because it's almost the similar issues that affected the project, and there are invasions, and the service provider left the site, and due to issues also relating to poor performance, SARS, and then the contract was terminated by the KwaDukuza municipality. The approval to resuscitate the project has also been granted. It's part of what was received yesterday as the approval by the MEC, and the procurement will then be undertaken by December. We would have then finalized the procurement, and then the project will form part of the next financial year business plan to complete the 60 units that are there. Crowdville Priority 5, Chairperson, this project was stalled due to bulk issues on this project, which where services could not be provided or the units could not be completed after the 700 odd that were completed. However, Chairperson, when the bulk infrastructure was then enhanced by the municipality, by Ilembe in the area, then what was then a challenge then when we were doing a submission, we contracted for the service provider to go back, but he cited that the area has challenges and then requested that we do a bilateral agreement with the municipality. The bilateral agreement then details that the municipality will be appointing the service provider. The contract was then concluded on September 2025 with the municipality. The municipality is in a process of procuring the service provider, which will then see the project being unblocked. This is the same similar project as Crowdville Priority 2, HNE and Genchane housing project. Is the same service provider that is then implementing agent and has requested the municipality to undertake the procurement themselves because the similar challenges were experienced due to this project, to both of these projects. In Oku District, which is the final project in slide 58, is Umzindo slums clearance. The district there needed to only 500 units could be delivered. This project has approximately 1,925 sites, or in terms of the internal services, only 500 were delivered, and we are now meant to finalize the last remaining matters, and the district municipality has approved funding to do the infrastructure. So once they have completed, then we will be in a position to say that is complete. Chairperson, the HOD has...
Sorry, Mr. Magalet, Chair, let me come in. Chairperson, we request that we do not present unblocked, but they are here for information purposes because there is no longer a problem, but they are here. But questions can be raised because of time, but we have unblocked 10 blocked housing projects have been unblocked now. They were blocked before. There are no issues. Secondly, Chair, we have tried to provide detailed information per project because last time honorable members were complaining. Now we gave detailed information. We'll request that the next time we'll only deal with progress per project because this information will remain the same in terms of background and other information. Lastly, we can commit in this committee that by April next year, all 4 blocked projects, which were as a result of our problems at the department, will be unblocked. So by April next year, we'll only have 12 blocked projects, which will keep on giving an update in terms of where we are going. So, Chair, if you give us that permission not to go details in terms of unblocked, we'll proceed to the next item.
Before I air my comments, there's a hand, Honorable Masiko.
Chair, I wish to second the proposal by the HOD, but I just want to check because I've just opened the presentation on the blocked project. Could it be that some projects which were reported as blocked are now appearing as unblocked, or the unblocked projects are not appearing on those that are blocked?
Okay, unblocked are no longer part of the blocked, meaning
Okay.
we have 16 blocked
Yes.
and 10 unblocked.
Okay,
So 26 in total.
okay.
Against the proposal per se, but I would want the HOD to give us confidence that the unblocked projects therefore have no issues in terms of challenges that must be reported to the committee. So that if we say that we're not going to go through the reports, we accept that with the confidence that there are no issues. They will be completed on time as planned, and there will be no issues raised thereafter.
Okay, Honorable Chairperson, take Tubaletu. It is unblocked. But the committee felt that we need then to give progress. So we will be amenable that if members will then say from unblocked projects, give us more information on it, we will do so time to time.
There seems to be no issue, then we can proceed.
Chair, I have a minor question.
Oh, yes.
D, in terms of what has been reported, for instance, let me take Rocky Park. We've received a presentation, Go Rocky Park, and for me, there's proof of life in that there's activities which are taking place. But you are still, well, there's movement because now there are issues, legal processes which are happening. There's a possible eviction that's going to be taking place either before December or later. But it still appears on the blocked project a presentation.
Yes, Rocky Park, activities that we are implementing at Rocky Park will assist us to unblock the project. It is not yet blocked. It's still blocked until we're on site ratifying what happened, then we'll say unblocked. For now, it will be unblocked until that time. It will be blocked until we're on site ratifying problems, yeah. Then on 7.5, Mr. Duma, acting director, property management and rental stock, will present 7.5.
Good morning, Honorable Chair and Honorable members, HOD and colleagues. Excuse me if I clear my throat every once in a while. I'm just battling off the flu. Colleagues, Chair, can I proceed or you just want to wait? Yeah, you may. Okay. Chair, just to give some background in terms of the rental stock, from April 1994, with the establishment of the provincial departments, all the property is managed by the former National Housing Board within the province of KwaZulu-Natal, and the former Home Affairs departments became the responsibility of the housing fund. The fund manages the disposal, maintenance, and rectification of the properties that we've acquired through these own affairs departments. The properties in the housing fund are managed on a transversal system known as a debtor system. That system is managed through the National Department of Human Settlements, which tracks these properties that we are dealing with. As the CFO indicated in a presentation as well, the fund is an entity as well, and with it, we're required to provide interim and annual financial statements on the housing fund. The housing fund has received a clean audit for the past 6 years. In terms of the National Minister's Directive, she has approved that the intention is by 31 March 2027, we achieve the closure of the housing fund across the country. So there's various provinces that have this program that they are busy with. We've obviously got our basket of properties that we're dealing with in this fund. On the next slide, Chair, we've got the breakdown of the properties that we as a department are dealing with in the various areas within KZN. So as you can see, majority of the properties that we still have on our system is within Durban and the surrounding areas. We had 2,695 cumulatively. We've already transferred 1,576 to date. We've got the remaining 1,119 rental properties that we have that we are still busy with the process of transferring those over in terms of what we are aiming to do within the fund. As indicated, we've got majority of the 1,032 in Durban and the surrounding areas, 69 remaining in Pietermaritzburg, and 18 in Richards Bay. Excuse me, Chair. On the next slide, I've just broken down the process in terms of where the various categories of people within our systems are sitting that make up the 1,119 properties that we are working on in terms of our rental stock. So you have a category of people that have rental agreements still with the department. These are ones that are signed up, and we've got rental relationships and there's lease agreements in place with these individuals. That then upgrades to sale agreements where the individuals have taken on the purpose of them wanting to now receive that property and have signed a sale agreement with the department that they intend to purchase in terms of the administrative process. Then the process moves on to EDBS approval, which is in terms of the housing fund. There's a policy in place called the Extended Enhanced Discount Benefit Scheme, whereby we are able to write off the historical rentals and debts that these individuals may have accrued in the previous years. So that is part of the government's initiative to enable those in those properties that are indigent and so on to be able to take over the property as an asset and not have any debt or liability. So we're able to write off through that approval from the MEC. So that incentivizes the transfer of those properties to the individuals. And then once we get through that process and approval, then we then issue the instruction to the conveyancers for them to be able to now effect those transfers to the individuals that have gone through the process and have accepted. So as indicated, Chair, we've got 337 that are still under the rental agreement phase. We've got 335 that are within the sale agreement phase. We've got 267 under the EDBS approval phase, and we've got 180 that we've submitted to the conveyancers for instructions to transfer. Within those, there are in the rental agreements, you'll have some individuals that have been reluctant, historically reluctant, that don't want to take on this as an asset within themselves. We have ongoing engagements that we do with them, periodically trying to incentivize them to take on this process so that at least they can have that benefit of having an asset in their name. There is resistance from individuals and some communities that we pick up occasionally, but that's the process that we have to facilitate through in order for us to try and achieve the goal of us wanting to get these properties transferred to the individuals, as opposed to us taking it over to the vote, so that at least the individuals that are occupying these units have the benefit of these properties. Chair, on the next slide, I've just highlighted some of the challenges that we have in trying to transact on these properties. You'll find that some of the people that have signed these sale agreements have passed on historically because the sale agreements have been signed very long time ago, and these individuals have not put in wills or their estates are not wound up. So we are unable to proceed to transfer those properties until that matter is resolved within the family. And then you also find within the family, there are issues in terms of the children that are there and the inheritors that are there in terms of who's meant to take over this asset and get the benefit as opposed to sharing it. So these are all social issues that we need to deal with, that make it difficult for us to finalize because it's incumbent on the individuals that are there to resolve these matters before we are able to effect the transfer to the right individual or go through the process of getting the transfer effected to those people. Together with that, we also have rates clearance certificates that we have sometimes challenges resolving where the municipalities haven't cleaned up their systems historically. So we try and get those processes resolved with the municipality so they're able to issue us with those certificates. We're able to then conclude on the administrative work that is required for us to be able to effect those transfers. And then with that as well, we're in the process of some of the properties that we own is installing water meters. That goes part of the process. We need to be able to meter these units individually so that the individuals can be responsible for the accounts to the respective municipalities. But again, there's a bit of resistance in some people on receiving these initiatives that we need to put in place on the project that is there. But again, we're engaging and ongoing with that. So that process can be effected as part of our rectification process as well, which we are doing on some of the properties that we own to bring it to a better standard to effect the transfer as well in terms of the agreement that we've put through with the community members at large. Chair, that for now is my summary on the rental properties that we have as a department that we are dealing with. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. 7.6 will be presented by Mr. Biela. He is this Director, Integrated Planning.
Thank you, Chair. Greetings to yourselves, Chair, Dabom Cole, honorable members, HOD, CFO, Chief Directors, and colleagues. I'll take you through a presentation on our title deeds. On the contents, we'll be dealing with a purpose summary of our transfers for 25-26, planned outputs for 25-26, summary of a budget allocation for 25-26, available title deeds for handover, and then we'll look at our challenges as well as our remedial actions. For 25-26, we have a total budget of 5.8 million, which basically looks at 469 pre-1994 title deeds, 1,573 post-1994, 126 post-2014. Then we're looking at our new title deeds at a target of 313. Undertaking beneficiary verification for 3,022, township establishment for 3,144, and then AMA dispute resolution for 895. Thank you. Next slide. Basically, summary of first and second quarter report for a budget. A budget for quarter 1 and 2, we had 249,000, of which we have overspent for a beneficiary verification to the tune of 92 million. We then had the conveyancing, which had a budget of 397,000. We are a little bit under there as we have spent 212,000. The reason for that is that we had a challenge with our properties, our 102 from Edumbe municipality, as the municipality had delays in issuing our rates clearance certificates. Therefore, we currently have a variance card 377,000 from a target card 646. On the actual title deeds themselves for quarter 1 and 2, for quarter 1, we had a target of 473. We achieved 337. Kuna variance 136, therefore making it a achievement of 71%. A challenge, Chair, is that there's 119 title deeds within Umlalazi municipality. In of extension 5 and 6, we had anticipated that we would actually lodge those title deeds. On lodging, we had then discovered that a township is not registered. Subsequent to that, Chair, the township has been registered. We also then had 72 properties that could not be lodged due to issue Yamares clearance, which was delayed in Bakulusi municipality. That is a Friday extension. Chair, we're engaging with the municipality to facilitate and fast track the issue of issuing Yamares clearance. And then for post 2014, we had anticipated 33 transfers for Ukunupe Phase 1B. Chair, we had a challenge there. Those were affected. It's just that the invoicing was late and it couldn't be reported within the quarter. Then moving to quarter two, we had a target of 769. We achieved 617, therefore at a variance of 152, giving us 80% the achievement. Chair, the challenges basically are the same as per above, Chair, whereby we had a challenge with a township which was not lodged, as well as the issue race clearance which have not been issued. Chair, in total, quarter one and two, we had a target ka 1,242. We did achieve 954 title deeds and therefore had a variance of 288. We're anticipating that we will catch up this within the balance of the financial year. Chair, then I'll go straight to our title deeds which are actually available in various municipalities. In Umutu, Chair, we have 122 title deeds available for handover. That's for Umutu phase 2. Endumeni, we have Udlamini, Forestdale, Tembile, Sibongile as well as Craigside, with a total of 597 title deeds which are available. Abaqulusi, Chair, we have Ubhekuzulu phase 6A. We have 89 title deeds that are available. Chair, safe to say, Chair, there's a challenge in handing over those title deeds because our beneficiaries which are on the ground are no longer the same beneficiaries of which title deed was given to. So there's been illegal sales, abantu baqashisile, etc., etc. Mtobatuba kwamsane, we have 60. Within Umandeni municipality, we have Unyoni with 113, Uhlomendlini with 1,054, Usundumbili 113, as well as Highview Park with 19. Therefore, there's a total of 1,319 within Umandeni. Emzimkhulu, Umzwabantu, Chair, Uno Mazakhele, phase 1, 2, and 3. Basically, we have a total of 496 title deeds. Within Unyukasele, there's Umatati, Usizwe, Charlestown, Emawozeni. We have a total number of 652 title deeds which are available. Moving to Herikwala and Umzimkhulu, Chair, Clydesdale, Umzimkhulu Extension 5 and 6, as well as Libisi. We have a total of 785 title deeds. Greater Kokstad, Chair, Horseshoe Shamoya, we have 70 title deeds. Within eThekwini, Chair, we basically have a total of 3,078 title deeds which are available. Chair, same challenge exists within eThekwini, whereby it's a challenge handing over those title deeds because people have moved out, people have sold illegally, people are renting out those properties. So the beneficiaries we're finding within the houses are not the beneficiaries which are on the title deed. Then, Chair, Utugela, Chair, there's also a number of projects that exist there. We have a total of 4,653 title deeds. Within Umkhanyakude, Big 5, Uhluhluwe phase 1 and 2, we have 220 title deeds available. Then last, Chair, within Ulembe, we have a number of projects, Shamoya, Etete, Ushaka's Head, Nkobongo, Duba Village, Unkwazi, Sinyembezi, Umbozamo, Ulindelano, Crowdville Priority 1, as well as Steve Biko. Chair, there's a total of 1,465 title deeds. Chair, then going to our challenges and as well as our remedial measures. Chair, there's a challenge of opening of township delay in opening of our township registers due to town planning issues. Chair, over the years with the change of legislation in terms of town planning, you find that if you want to transfer today, there's some legislative issues which we'll need to comply with, therefore forcing us to then go back to town planning so that we can resolve that. Chair, we have appointed as a department professionals which are going to be undertaking all of those legislated issues so that we get to a point whereby we can then open our township register and therefore effect transfer. Challenges in closing out projects due to mass missing beneficiaries, dispute cases, etc. Chair, we have a policy which then says we would advertise for 30 days looking for our beneficiaries, failing which if initial beneficiary doesn't then show themselves, we will then regularize the person that we've actually found on site. We also then have our dispute resolution committees throughout the municipalities, whereby then we engaged with potential beneficiaries to find amicable solutions as to how to go forward in providing those title deeds. Projects delays due to outstanding land vesting. Chair, we're working closely with the Department of Public Works as well as Rural Development in terms of making sure that some old townships which have not been transferred are vested within the province, so that we can then devolve those properties to municipalities, so that we can then open a township register and transfer those properties. It is a lengthy process, but we are busy with it and we're undertaking it. Lost title deeds for my parent properties. Chair, we do have those challenges. We have then instructed our conveyancers to make those applications. We've made funding available for municipalities as well through MHOA to ensure that they are able to then apply to a deeds office so that they can have access to those. Slow pace of issuing of race clearance certificates. Chair, we have these challenges and reported some of our targets could not be met because of this challenge. There's a processes that municipalities need to undertake so that they provide us with race clearance. Some of the issues would then look at in terms of saying some of the people need to be registered as indigenous people because they can't afford race, and therefore that process is a bit lengthy. Therefore, when we get race clearance certificate, it's usually late in the day, so for us to effect transfers timelessly. But I think that the municipalities are coming to speed in making sure that they actually engage with the issue of race clearance on time. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. We extended invitation to eThekwini, so they brought two senior managers, Ms. Mngube as well as Ms. Moloi. So Ms. Mngube will present 7.7.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, honorable members and colleagues, as well as HOD and the CFO. The presentation is in response to a request from eThekwini to give a status report and an action plan for Flamingo Heights. Flamingo Heights is a rental housing project that qualifies for ownership via the 10-year option that gets effected through the EEDBS, the Enhanced Extended Discount Benefit Scheme of the National Housing Department. It is located in the Tongaat area, which is north of Durban, comprises of 72 units or flats, and the occupants are currently paying rentals. The sectionalization process is outlined in the following slides. That is how the sale or the transfers of the units are going to be effected through Sectional Titles Act. Firstly, for us to be able to eventually do the transfers via sectionalization, there has got to be approved plans of the project. So the survey of the buildings and measurements of the flats has already been undertaken, and this was done via the funds from the provincial government that were given through the hiring of a surveyor. And then the surveyor has done all the requirements in terms of the preliminary works, including that of measurements, as well as the draft sectional plans. In order for the draft sectional plans to be submitted to the Surveyor General for approval, there are a few legal requirements that have to be completed. Firstly, it is necessary to ensure that the zoning and services are appropriate for a sectional title to take place. In this case, parts of municipal roads were on the same piece of land, and thus a subdivision is needed in addition to zoning and site space condonation in order to protect the municipality. Applications had to be brought in terms of the SPLUMA, which is the Spatial Planning and Land Use Management, to regularize the planning-related matters. Members, you would have noticed that the process of SPLUMA, as well as that of the zoning and space condonations, at most takes almost a period of 18 months. That is why we are saying the sectionalization process within this project started in 2019. We will discuss the challenges that the municipality has had to face together with the provincial government in following those processes due to the funding requirements that were not sufficient enough to meet the demands of the work. Also, I need to mention that the funding model that we are using for sectionalization is that which is referred to as the TRP, the Title Deed Restoration Process or program, which has had, we've experienced so many challenges trying to procure services of town planners to a point where we found that every time we go out to tender, all the returnables come out way higher than what the national government has provisioned for the funding. So the funding is completely not responsive to the market when we're procuring services of professionals. That is why we've had so many instances where we've had to go back to province and ask them for funding when they never had provisioned for more funding other than that the national government has provided via the TRP funding. So the process has had to proceed, and when the town planners come back and say, we need more money, the money is not sufficient, we also experienced that as well as province did, because when, as we say, the funding is there, but the conditions of funding are not so easy to utilize, and therefore we've had to use other means and do provisions for other coming years to make sure that we are able to proceed with some activities of town planning. The second stage from that of approving plans is a certificate that is needed from the developer, in this case, which is eThekwini, stating that the meeting informing tenants has taken place and other related matters, the dates, the information given to tenants, etc. In this regard, somebody in eThekwini needed to be authorized to sign on behalf of the developer, eThekwini, and a council resolution may be needed authorizing such a person to sign a certificate. I can report that in terms of a certificate, already this has been taken care of ever since the transfers via sectionalization had been effected in the other areas of Phoenix, Newlands, and Chatsworth have taken place. So we are covered in terms of that. It's just for us now to have a meeting with the tenants so that we would have fulfilled some of the requirements of the certificates, the issuing of the certificates. All of the above is then, along with the land surveyor's records, measurements, and draft sectional plans submitted to the Surveyor General's office for approval. At this time, because our planning approvals have not yet been issued, we are still awaiting final planning approval. Once the SPLUMA is issued, then only we'll be able to give the surveyor to take all the submissions for approval by the Surveyor General's office. No records will be accepted if the zoning and land matters are not all in order and the tenants have not had a meeting and been properly informed on such matters. Okay. So now we're going back to the actual plan, as in the action plan for Flamingo Heights. As we've said, it has 72 units out of 230 units that are going to be sectionalized in the Tongaat area. The land audit indicates that the site has had no land claims, so the site is cleared for utilization, for sectionalization. The reservation of F numbers has been approved by the Surveyor General's office. Town planning layouts have been completed. That is why now we've submitted the Spluma application for subdivision and rezoning of land, which has since been submitted in September 2025. Whilst the planning was being undertaken, it was discovered that on the existing Surveyor General's general plan, the property, the subject property that F2379 Tongaat, where Flamingo is located, it is legally noted as a public open space, which therefore required us to do an application to our real estate department to change that land use to residential space, since it is a residential project. The Spluma application that has been submitted in September is anticipated to take a period of 6 months from now, from September. However, other than the Spluma, parallel to that, we are supposed to be conducting a conditional assessment where we are assessing the structural integrity of the entire 72 units and make sure that we get relevant professionals to give us the condition of those units, so that once the condition has been assessed, we then determine what are the immediate, the short and the long-term repairs that need to be effected. This is by law. We cannot sell to our poor people properties that are not up to speed in terms of occupation by human beings. So we are supposed to determine the condition and then fix whatever that is not right in terms of how those are meant to be habitable by the people. And by law, we are required to produce a 10-year maintenance plan out of those conditional assessments, of which we will provide to the body corporate at the time of transfer. So once all those requirements, the conditional assessment will take plus or minus a month to complete. And then after the conditional assessment, we'll then have a meeting with the community involved. And then all those documents, coupled with the minutes of the meeting of the community, will be taken through with the sectional plans, the drafts, for registration at the Surveyor General's office. Once the Surveyor General has approved draft sectional plans, then the entire documentation will be then passed on to the conveyancing section, where the conveyancers will then open the sectional title register and then further register the units onto the individual tenants' names. Then the conveyancing section will have to engage each tenant in respect of the sale agreements and any other conveyancing documentation that should be needed, so that the transfer of each unit to the intended recipient is effected. Just in general, it is very important to note that sectional title is a strict legal process fraught with a lot of compliance conditions. As soon as the register is open, the sectional title scheme will formally exist, of which eThekwini will own all the sections, and then start the process of sales to individual occupants or tenants. eThekwini will have to decide as a developer if they have a scheme with the standard conduct and operational rules or changes are needed per scheme. For example, what if there is limited parking? How do the rules allocate such amongst the tenants? And that will be registered at this office as well. Bank accounts in the name of the scheme and authorized signatories. Council resolution will likely be needed as well as other authorizations for persons to sign and transact. A budget is needed as well as a 10-year maintenance plan, as I have alluded earlier. Further, payments for utilities and repairs will likely to have to be paid from the developer to the account of the body corporate for the developer's share based on the participation quota until the last of the units are sold. Further council resolution will also be required for such. Decisions must be made as to appointment of managing agents. Trustees from amongst the tenants will have to manage all the operational and financial matters. As can be seen, sectional title is not as easy as simple giving people freehold properties. It is time-consuming and complicated, more so by the fact that this is state residential units, tenanted units, which in turn have no approved building plans. While the state does not need approved building plans, and in turn, in this case, because it is the state, the sectional title process does not need approved building plans. If the municipality has a policy of handing over title with approved plans, that may be a very expensive problem. Building plans and sectional title plans are very different processes and legal concepts. As mentioned earlier, the land surveyors were appointed to prepare the sectional title plans. Not included in their appointment were planning matters and additional surveys like subdivisions and consolidations to regularize the property and zoning, conditional assessments and other matters of cost of units and such like conveyancing, as all the matters associated with conduct and maintenance and rules of the scheme were also excluded. I think here we were trying to emphasize the point of the delays that we've come across, which were not included in the funding model, the TRP, when the planning for sale of these properties via sectional title was done. So we've had to start and stop and save some monies from the current budget for continuation of the same process the following year. Come another problem, we've had to stop, maybe take some monies here and there, rob Peter and PayPal, and try and save for the same project. Yes, it's 72 units. However, the work that is involved in trying to make sure that we follow the proper land use management is huge, and it is very sophisticated. So the funding model, I know HOD will bear with me that a lot of this money is still remain unused, the TRP funding, not because we can't use the money, but it is not responsive to the market, the challenges and the funding that is supposed to be paid to professionals that are doing the work for us, the surveyors, as well as town planners and engineers, etc. So the land surveyor, Mr. Newmat, that we had been hired for by the province, is guiding the process through the steps, but procurement of additional services had to be done, and funding for such has taken time to accumulate for us to be able to move forward with the project. Upgrades have not yet been effected at Flamingo Heights due to still the problem of funding. We do not get a capital budget from the municipality. However, all that we do is little by little from the funding rectification funding that we're getting from province every year. However, there are other projects that precede Flamingo Heights. Like currently, we are busy in Isipingo for all the savings that we've been saving from rectification fund to try and effect a sale of Isipingo all at once. So all the current conditional assessments are, the funding thereof is being prioritized for Isipingo. And next, after Isipingo, we will have them to jump onto Flamingo Heights. That is why the time frame keeps shifting year on year on the Flamingo Heights schedule. Plans are, however, underway to ensure that mandatory upgrades are conducted before registration of transfer to individual units. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The last one will be taken by Ms. Anderson in less than 5 minutes.
Chair, once again, sorry, I'm not going to be too long. The presentation on the forensic investigations and the forensic matters, I'll start with the, sorry, can the presentation be projected? But I'll proceed in the interim. We will start with 2 phases. The first phase is the investigations that are in progress, and the second phase is the investigations that are finalized. So the total number of forensic matters is 6. There are 2 matters which are in progress. The first matter was reported by an anonymous whistleblower. It was referred in July this year, 2025. It relates to allegations of irregular and corrupt allocation of government houses in Kingsborough West, Ilovo in KZN. There's no estimated amount under the investigation. I'm on slide 5. There's no estimated amount. The matter is still in planning stage. Meetings have been held. The allegations are being unpacked, and the Office of the Premier is trying to engage the whistleblower to get additional information. A request was sent to the Department for Information, which the department is providing and managing. The next matter, which is FR10, was also referred in July 2025. It relates to allegations of irregularities in the allocation and occupation of RDP houses within the eThekwini municipality, and specifically within KwaZulu-Natal. Now, sorry, I'm trying to pronounce it correctly. Township, and that matter is being investigated currently. It's in a planning phase. There's also a notification and data request letters that have been submitted to the department. In terms of the deadline is the end of October for that particular matter. On the next slide, in terms of phase 2 completed investigations, we have 1 matter of FR31 2019, which is completed, and we are managing the findings of completed investigations in FR30, FR24, and FR16. These investigations are being managed by the Office of the Premier with the respective municipalities. In terms of FR31, that matter on slide 7 relates to an investigation into a fraudulent letter made by an official. The letter relates to an offer of employment, and as a result, a counter offer was made by the department. Disciplinary proceedings were recommended against the official. The disciplinary process is still ongoing, but in respect of criminal charges were recommended against the official. The status of the criminal charges is that the criminal case with South African Police Service is at Durban Central Police Station. We have a CAS number. The matter was closed by SAPS and was marked as undetected. So we did institute criminal proceedings, but SAPS did not take it any further. In terms of civil recovery, there's an amount of 177,421. The civil recovery matter has commenced. Summons is planned to be served at the end of October. Legal services will be dealing with the recovery of that amount. Also, this matter was referred by an anonymous whistleblower. The next slide, slide 8, in respect of phase 2 investigations, the other investigations, FR 30 relates to Rocky Park. In respect of this particular matter, as the chair and members are aware, the report was not provided to the department per se. And so in respect of the disciplinary matters, the proceedings that were recommended by the Office of the Premier relate to municipal officials, and the municipality requested a presentation on the report, which was done on the 25th of September. So there are no criminal charges as far as we're aware relating to the department or its officials. There's no civil recovery currently. So in respect of the next slide, which is FR 24, this matter relates to alleged irregularities in a housing project in Amajuba district. Disciplinary proceedings were recommended against an official. Those disciplinary proceedings are yet to commence. The department has sent a letter to the municipality on the 21st of July. The Office of the Premier sent a letter to the municipality in respect of following up in terms of the disciplinary proceedings. There has been no responses to date. There are no criminal charges and there are no civil recovery matters. This matter of FR 24 was a matter which the department referred to the Office of the Premier for investigation. On slide 10, we have FR 16. This is a 2020 matter. It relates to allegations of irregularities for the Woodland low-cost housing project. Disciplinary proceedings were recommended against one official. The report was initially referred to KZN COCTA, but based on a meeting with the HOD, the resolution was taken to reissue the report to Msunduzi Municipality for implementation. The report was submitted to the municipality on the 8th of May 2025. The KZN Office of the Premier received feedback on the 21st of August from the municipality indicating that the implementation of the recommendations is yet to commence. This matter is also an anonymous complaint. There are no criminal charges. There's no civil recovery. That is the report, Chair. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Chair. We are done as a department. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, HOD and colleagues. I thought, and in fact, I could see that the HOD was nearly taking the item for discussions and chairing my meeting. Thank you very much, colleagues, for the presentations. As always, I'll be the last one to engage. Can I afford the honorable members of the portfolio to engage the presentations in the form of comments or questions? I note the hand of the Honorable Gokul, who is attending on virtual. Any other hand from the House? Okay, every member has a hand. So I will start. We're going to adopt the National Assembly approach. I'll give you your 3 minutes or 5 minutes all the way till the end. So everyone will have an opportunity to engage. Let me start with you, Honorable Gokul, since you raised your hand first.
Thank you, Chair. Am I audible?
Loud and clear.
Thank you. Chair, as you know, I brought the issue of Flamingo Heights to the committee. But my questions are more general because Flamingo Heights is just one example of the problems in these types of developments. Consultation with residents or constant feedback and communication is very poor, and therefore we as public representatives, whether it's councillors or MPs, MPLs, receive these complaints. I'd like to know from the department what is the plan of action going forward to relay this information that we get, whether it's at a council level or at a ledge level or even at a national level, to residents so that they are aware of what is their situation like and what's forthcoming, as they are the ones that's being affected. And I tell you why I'm asking this, Chair, is because I've personally visited Flamingo Heights, and the residents are in complete dark when it comes to what's going on in terms of receiving their title deeds, in terms of the maintenance, and a few of the flats there were also affected by the floods. They haven't received feedback from the municipality or any housing official for that matter. And I want to also, my second comment is, while I was there, there was a housing official that was present that was supposedly there to visit every single unit to take down what the issues were in the unit so that it could be fixed, repaired, maintained, etc. I can assure you, Chair, that did not happen. And when I questioned the official, the response was very rude. And if I receive that type of treatment, I can only imagine how residents who want to engage with the department, or when officials are on the ground and come and visit these developments or areas, these residents are in a dire state. They need answers. They are desperate. They are helpless. And as officials and as public representatives, we have to take that into consideration when we engage with these residents and not exacerbate their helplessness. So it's pertaining to Flamingo Heights, but it's in a more general sense as well, as that the department has to start looking at this in a more holistic manner. And I understand we're under budget constraints. I understand there's a lot of these developments and we have to rectify and we have to go through the process, etc. But then the department has to sit down and start strategizing, because we can't have, and we see it not only with Flamingo Heights, we saw it with the other presentations as well, where we're taking 5 to 10 years to complete processes. And we can't do that because we already have a backlog of 1 million plus residents needing housing. And if we're going to allow these processes in developments that are already existing to take close to 10 years, Chair, I dare say it, what is it going to be, 500 years before we get to a point where we are all okay? So for me, the department has to come up with a plan, a concerted plan, and make a concerted effort to come up with a plan that deals with all these delays in processes, that communicates to residents. And I don't see that coming from the department. I don't see timelines. I see a month, but we don't say 7th of November or 20th of January. It's just approximately a month, approximately 6 months. But there's no concrete, like for me, there's no concrete plan on timelines, on turnarounds, on how to deal. We can't move from Isipingo and Flamingo and then say, okay, when residents complain, then we'll move to Umlazi. And then when residents complain, we'll move to Richards Bay. We have to know where our developments are. We have to know how we're going to deal with those developments, the rectification, the title deeds, all the legislation, et cetera, and start budgeting accordingly so that residents can start seeing some movement from the department. With that, Chair, I thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Kokul. The Honorable Nkwanyana. I will take, say, about 3 hands and afford the colleagues to respond, and then take another 3. So in this round, it's the Honorable Kokul, the Honorable Nkwanyana, and the Honorable Masiko. And then I'll come back again and take the second round.
Thank you, Chairperson. Greetings to you again and all the people in this house. Chairperson, I just want first to thank the presentation that was given to us this afternoon or morning, I don't know. But to me, it seems as if there's still a lot to be done, or to all this presentation that has been given to us. As it is now, we've been talking about the projects that was blocked. And the project that was blocked, they say it has been handed over to the MEC to finalize it or what? When was that block project given to the MEC? Because we need something with a time frame, not just to fire a question or a planning process without any time frame. Secondly, about KwaDukuza Rocky Park. That issue of KwaDukuza has been outstanding for a long time. As it is now, I understand they say there's a process of eviction of people down there. To me, I want to check, when the process starts, is there any provision for those people maybe to be given to where they can stay, because they're going to be taken out from that houses in Rocky Park. Secondly, what about the houses that have been occupied by people who are not owning them? What is the process of them? Because you cannot just sit to a house which not belongs to you. Sometimes maybe he bought it somewhere. Who's that somebody who's been selling the houses for the government? We also want to hear all those things, Chairperson. I think I must stay. No, let me put my questions down now. Maybe I'll come back again.
Thank you, Honorable Konyana. Honorable Masigo.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. I must say that even though the system that we are using saves time, but we are demanding my presentations to capture everything that we have in the 3 to 5 minutes that we have been given. But nonetheless, Chairperson, one will try. I think firstly, with presentation, Yase Rocky Park, we must appreciate that there's action that has been taken in terms of the implementation of the forensic investigation, and we appreciate the fact that the report has been given. But if there's one thing, and I'm not saying that it's specifically a human settlements, but throughout, sometimes we've heard HOD that forensic investigations tend to collect dust somewhere before action can be taken, just as how some of the commissions are accused of doing or non-action. But I think, Chair, it's something that we need to track. We are not going to request for it now, but once the MEC has processed it and there is an action plan in terms of consequence management, we would like to get that report as well as this portfolio committee, so that we better understand HOD what are the underlying factors that have landed us where we are today. In terms of the MTF, Chairperson, I think we must also, whilst we're appreciating all the reports, I just wanted to check, it was just a thought in terms of the EPWP grant. I know that we cannot project for the outer years, but do we not have any standard, projections, or we just await for National to give us a figure? It's just a question that I have in terms of the projections for the out years, because it's the only one that has not been projected for. Okay, ngiyabhala bese ngibuye ngikhohle ngicela ukuvula lana. But I have something on ithuba lethu. Okay, maybe let me ngidlule ithuba lethu. Let me go to the blocked projects. And for me, I think HOD, I want to agree with you that in most you see that it is an issue of poor planning, because there's a project, it has been approved, and then all of a sudden we have to go back when it starts, and then there's issues around bulk services and other issues that then cause the project to stop. So I must agree that it's an issue of planning somewhere. The second issue that I have, HOD, and I wish to ask, some of these projects are being reported, and I think they will forever be staying in this blocked project report or category. Do we believe that at any point, and I'm just checking, Chairperson, that we will just say that, okay, the project is non-existent as Lulelen Pambil. Because if you look around the possibilities of it being unblocked, our chances are 0 to none. I don't know whether I mean in losing hope HOD, but Mobuga Manye from 2010, and the report is that the municipality does not have money. Will the municipality ever have money? Do we still have even beneficiaries of those projects? Because there are also reports of land invasion. So at what point do we just admit, if we should reach that point, to say that such a project, is a project that we have assessed and we are comfortable, okay, maybe not comfortable, but we've reached ukuthi sivume nathi ukuthi le project sifana ne-project engekho. All right. I think, Chairperson, I'm very worried about Ilembe. I'm very worried about Ilembe HOD. I don't know whether it's an issue of capacity of the municipality or the officials. And for me, I'm not going to say it's at the level of MM, because some of these projects were implemented even before this current MM. So I don't know what the problem is, HOD. I don't know whether you've assessed Ilembe as a whole and you are still comfortable with saying that you will be giving money to Ilembe to implement any of your human settlements projects. I'm not sure. But I just need to get assurance that you have your eye on that municipality. Charlestown, Charlestown, can I just go to the slide? I've recorded it as slide 12. That police it's just consequences of really not having a chance immediately after the presentation. But it says here that I just need to check a project, whether any of the occupants of those completed number have taken occupation, because there was 500 approved, and then the number of units delivered is 295. Have they taken occupation of those completed units? And then Umkhanyakude, nothing has been delivered from the 426 approved. And then it says that in order for the department to proceed, for SCM processes to proceed, there must be a verification that takes place of the beneficiaries. Now, the question is how long, because I don't have a date of this, how long have we been waiting for the process of beneficiaries, given the fact that there's no date here that has been given? Umgungundlovu, I'm quite worried with the Sidara housing project, that there's a number of 623 which were approved and delivered 100. But if you look at the project value as opposed to the project expenditure, the expenditure is quite high for the number of units that have been delivered. From the 600 which was projected, only 100 were delivered, but project value is over 75% in terms of expenditure HOD. I don't know what to make of that. Ekayelisha, the project is as old as 2007. Now, those are some of the projects HOD that I'm just requesting for us to be frank about whether they are going to continue. But also, Nakone Kayelich, I'm worried about expenditure of the actual project itself, because it says that the value is 12 million, expenditure is 12 million. And in terms of that's the question that I was asking. Internal services, there's 500, but in terms of slabs, wall pallets, there's nothing that has been developed from that project. So I just need clarity on that. Chair, let me stop now. For now, I think I have quite a number, but I'll come back if colleagues or honourable members don't ask some of the questions that I have. Thank you.
No, thank you, colleagues. Maybe let me afford you, in your respectful units, to respond to the issues that were raised by the honourable members.
Sorry, Chair, just a summary, HOD, in what I was asking. Do any of these blocked projects have proof of life? And do some of them have no form of life? There's not even a pulse in them. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you very much for the questions. For Honorable Member Kokul, let me invite eThekwini colleagues first, then we'll add where necessary.
Thank you. Thank you, HOD. Let me undertake, HOD, that we will go and visit.
Sorry, ma'am, can you kindly introduce yourself?
I'm sorry.
No problem.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Mangele Muloi. I work for eThekwini Municipality, Human Settlements Unit. I am the Deputy Head for Formal Housing. In particular, the subject matter, Flamingo Heights, falls under my directorate. So what I wanted to say and wanted to promise is that we will go and visit the scheme, or we will go and have a meeting with the beneficiaries of the Flamingo Heights so that we can give them all of the feedback that we have given and have provided in today's session. But I think it's very important to highlight that the planning for all the pre-1994 housing stock was not done. And then to retrospectively fit planning when it wasn't done, it's extremely difficult. And I think that has been the delay. And maybe it's not necessarily, I think, over and above the fact that there are those complications. What is complicating matters even more is the issue of the funding. So initially, they thought that we can just give title deeds. But what we are uncovering is that you even have to debulk the bulk infrastructure, and such funding is not provided for in these programs. And the fact that we had to stop so many times because of the lack of funding. And also the main one, which is we've now resolved the planning, notwithstanding that it has taken so many years, but the main one now is the upgrade. The sectional title scheme provides that you must undertake a conditional assessment and then do the upgrade. Right away now, for eThekwini Municipality, we've only been allocated 10 million. The upgrade alone for Flamingo Heights will be no less than 10 million. Meanwhile, we are currently focusing on Isipingo. So we just want to flag that unless we are given funding by the department, some of these processes will unfortunately take longer to resolve. Yes, at the moment, there's poor conditions of the flats, but it's also due to the fact that the beneficiaries are not paying us rent as a municipality. Municipality is only able to provide services such as maintenance in the municipal flats only when we receive rentals. The collection, I think, at Flamingo Heights is not, it's not more than 20%. And so there's not much rentals that we are receiving, and therefore there will be minimum repairs that we are undertaking. the only intervention will come from government, the state, when they give us grants for upgrading. And unfortunately, the flats are more than 60 years old, which means that it requires huge amounts of monies for us to then be able to upgrade. But I do undertake that we will go to the community. It's been quiet for quite some time. We apologize for that. We will go and engage the community in terms of all of these processes and some of the constraints. Thank you, Chair.
Maybe, Honorable Chair, I must say, we wanted to commit in this committee that before the end of November, we'll ensure that together with eThekwini, we meet the affected residents for feedback. It will be done before the end of November. We will also resuscitate at the project steering committee so that time to time we can update the committee, then the committee will update the affected residents time to time. Now, on Honorable Nkwanyana, the issue of submission to MEC, the report was saying we have already received approvals from the MEC so that we can go on the ground. I must say on blocked projects, I've said in this meeting, 4 projects which are blocked, which are within our control, will be unblocked before April 2026. All 4 will be unblocked. We're giving that assurance. Meaning, we'll be left with the 12 projects which are blocked as a result of lack of park infrastructure, which is not our responsibility. It is the responsibility of the district municipalities. Then the question will be, what are we doing about it? Right now, we are leading initiatives. We are engaging DPSA. We are engaging Infrastructure South Africa to see possibilities of them assisting even COGTA at the national level. We are engaging COGTA to assist district municipalities for additional funding in order to unlock these projects. So we'll keep on reporting on these projects. On the question that says, do we believe at one point these projects will be unblocked? The 12 will say yes for now, but after engagements that we're undertaking with potential funders, we will come back to this committee and say, we've done everything within our power. This project cannot be unblocked because the problem that we're having is bigger than us. District municipalities and local municipalities, which are water authorities, do not pay attention to bulk infrastructure. They only pay attention on potable water. Their understanding is to ensure that people can drink drinking water. They don't consider a bulk infrastructure to unlock development. So we are also engaging them in that regard because it is their responsibility. Now, on Rocky Park, in terms of alternative accommodation, that is why we are dealing with profiling first, because at this point in time, we do not know who will qualify for BNG, because most of the people who are living there are municipal officials. At Rocky Park, we have municipal officials who are living at Rocky Park. We have government officials, policemen or women who are living there. So you can't then plan for alternative accommodation without knowing who will need that accommodation, because those who do not qualify will be evicted without any alternative accommodation. With regards to people who are living in houses that they do not own, I must say in this committee, it is beyond our control. Before we hand over a house to a beneficiary, we do consumer education, right? Now, if a person 2 years down the line or 3 years down the line leave that house and rent it out, so it is not easy as a department to know it is not easy as a department to prevent that happening as well. That is why, in some instances, when we wanted to issue a title deed, we find that a person who is living in this house is no longer an original person. So it becomes a problem on our side, and we want at no stage where we are going to have capacity to prevent it, but we are through consumer education with this encourage people to do so. Now, then colleagues, we will then take other questions. Let me then, Mr. Makakula.
Thank you. Through you, Chairperson, I will tackle the issue of Charlestown. I think the units that are there, 295, are already occupied. We will recall that the water was actually coming through from the Mpumalanga province when I presented. Then they stopped the water so that they could deal with the Mpumalanga demands, which were no longer available. But the municipality, Newcastle municipality, is the Water Services Authority. So they are providing rudimentary water in the form of trucks and so on. And they are in a process of drilling boreholes so that the area will then be serviced. So there is water that is there, but unfortunately, it is no longer enough to carry on and sustain the township going forward and for us to continue building. The issue of Umgungundlovu, Sidara, if I may go back to Sidara, the Sidara is approved for servicing 623 sites, and is also approved and contracted for building 100 units. However, when we are servicing the whole sites of 600, the anticipation is that we will come back with a contract to deal with the top structures on the balance of what was not approved. So the 100 units were paid for because they were built, and there is a balance then on the services. I think they are about 13 services that are not completed, and hence when you're looking at the money, there is approximately 5 million that is not spent. This is relating to little bit of services and the refurbishment of the treatment plant that was there, which needed to be transferred from the Department of Agriculture to the Umgungundlovu district, then be able then to supply this area. So that process is still underway and has not been finalized, and therefore we are unable to build and continue with the top structures in that case. And so therefore the approval is mainly looking at the services, and then is also looking at the 100 units only. It is not that the 500 units are anticipated to be built at a later stage and are not yet approved. The similar story exists in Khayelitsha.
Sorry, Makakula. Yes.
Thank you, Chair. I think I am confused, but if it hasn't been approved as yet, why then do we record it as a blocked a project? Because it's recorded here that in terms of the slab, the wall pallets, the roof, the completion, you've got 100 out, and outstanding, you've got 523. It's recorded as a blocked project, but it has not been approved.
Maybe, Chair, to clarify, the anticipation is that when we are building 623 sites, the anticipation is that all sites will have units on top of them. So there are beneficiaries who are waiting to receive those sites, and therefore the money has been spent on the services. However, it's more like a life cycle, it's a phased approach. And in this case, the first phase of the services has been completed. The first phase of top structures is 100, has been completed. However, there are still 523 sites that are still waiting for the second phase of units to be built on them. Hence, we have recorded them in that light. We could actually go back and record 100, but it will be 100. The infrastructure will still be lying there for 500 units to be built. I'm not too sure if I am clarifying, Chair.
Maybe if I can add, let me add. Okay, when the project was planned, it was planned not for 100, it was planned for 600 something. So money was spent on the ground, something that you cannot see, right? Then what then happened in terms of top structure, only 100 that was built, because we still have to build that 500. We're saying it is unblocked because it is blocked because we did not finish the project. It qualifies to be blocked. Yes. I'm not sure what Mr. Makakul is finished in terms of.
Chair, I was still on Khayelitsha. Khayelitsha, Chair, the project there was approved for infrastructure only, and therefore, because it was approved for infrastructure only, the slabs are still not built. So there are no units that are built, because there is money waiting on the ground for 500 units to build. We just recorded that there are 0 slabs and units completed. However, for the services are already on the ground and are ready to receive the top structures on top of them. Chair, the issue there is that the original project was actually completed. All 426 units were built. However, the report requested that a rectification be implemented. And when they were in a course of implementing the rectification, it transpired that most beneficiaries have moved out of those houses, and they have, because this is a township in a rural area, and so they have actually gone out and gone back to their homes, and this is where we have a problem now of rectifying a house for a beneficiary who is not the real beneficiary, and therefore the municipality was engaged in the past 2 months to actually do an assessment of those beneficiaries that are there, so that we can then pick up those beneficiaries and only rectify those houses for the correct beneficiaries. I think I will stop there, Chair, as far as the questions that have been.
Yeah, CFO will respond on EPWP.
Okay, HOD kuleya semkhanya kude, how long have this been going on for?
The information I have, I think, is that from, November last year, if not mistaken. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just going to respond to the EPWP grant funding. We're unable to predict those because we actually, it gets allocated in the adjustments estimates for the new year. So it was 7 million. It's just been coming down because of budget issues, I think, just general fiscal issues. So this year it's about 5.5 million. We don't expect it to be that high in the next year. But once we receive the budget in the adjustments, we then just plan for the following year. We just try to ensure that we utilize the grants on the current running projects so that people from the districts get opportunities to work on those projects. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, Honorable Chair, on Ilembe, I would say we cannot blame the municipality on Ilembe. but we should own up on our processes as a department. We should not have started those projects. We should have done due diligence and see that there will be no bulk infrastructure, so there is no need to start that project. But we are working 24/7 with both the district and the municipality to remedy the situation. But we can give assurance to this committee that it will never happen again. That will start a project where there will be no bulk infrastructure. So that is our response. We'll try our level best to unblock. Hopefully, we'll be in a position we will succeed. Thank you.
No, thanks, Chair. HOD. I'm going to take the next set of hands that were up from the colleagues. I'll start with you, Kabazela, right to the Honorable Mabas.
Through you, Chair, and my colleagues and the officials. Because I was actually worried about you guys starting a project without actually doing a proper planning. And also, guys, what I wanted to ask, when you guys started, do you involve other stakeholders or you just start a project? Because I see like I'm at district, most of the time they're taking so long to actually come to the part. As a result, their project, most of the project stall. They've installed for more 18 to 20 years, you know, because of the bug. So I'm just worried, guys, if we can actually fix our planning in the future so that we won't have a project that will take like 18 to 20 years.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. Greetings to yourself, honorable members and officials. Mhlawumbe okwami ngizoba nama inputs bese ngiba nemibuzo njengasekugcineni. Chair, one has been here for almost 2 years now in this department. And uma ngabe uthi uyalalela sinokucishe khulunywa into efanayo all the time. Mhlawumbe umuntu une-background nje encane ebhedayo yokuthi umuntu une-background ye-business. Now unento yokuthi une-time frame in doing things. Udinga ukuthi uqale ngesikhathi esithile uyazi ukuthi usuqedile. Now with this department yakwa human settlement umuntu ubuka engazi ukuthi akuna time frame for anything. It looks like we just come together to tick the box that we've met. Ngaphandle kokuthi sazi ukuthi kahle kahle what do we want to achieve. Uma ulalela ngizokuthanda nje ukuthi mhlambe ngidile neproject eyi-1 leyasethuba lethu. One has visited the site and uma ubuka uyabona ukuthi inhloso into eyayenzeka la kwakudliwa imali nje kuphela. And to date uma ngabe ubuka imali okukhulunywa ngayo that has been injected again on the same project akhombisa ukuthi into ezophela anytime soon. And akhombisa ukuthi the department i-concerned ngento eyenzakalayo lapha kuleya project. And the third part yokuthi we are sabantu abamnyama iningi lethu. And the projects esikhuluma ngawo affect abantu abamnyama and affect abantu abahluphekile. Uma ubuka ukuthi leya project ka 2012 nginento nje engiyibuza yona ekhanda lami ukuthi by the time leya project iphela abantu ababe applyele lezindlu babe besaphila yini kwabona qobo lwabo. Because I think that's another thing that we should be looking at ukuthi uma ngabe kuthiwa iproject iyenzeka especially ezindlu kunabantu abasuke be-applyile. Now udinga ukuthi wazi ukuthi ngesikhathi esithile sengiqedile ukuze abantu bekwazi ukuthi uhandover izindlu kubona. But kulama project kuyenziwa nje ngazi ukuthi akujahwe ndawo ayikho into ekufuna ibonakala uyenzakalile. And I think it's causing a problem for the department as well, because amanye ama-project nesiqiniseko sokuthi by the time ephela uthola ukuthi mhlambe half walezo zindlu abanini bawo basuke bengasekho bengasaphili, and you have a problem now ukuthi kufuneka iqalwe kunendawo to allocate lezi zindlu eseyiphelile. Again ngisahlele kuleya ethuba lethu sasise eKing Cetshwayo ngenkathi senze oversight, umuntu wabuka nje ama-figures akhona, uyabona ukuthi imali yayifakwe lapha ngalesa sikhathi yayenziwe ngendlela ukuthi whether kwakwa-elections noma kwakwenzakalani, but that project kwakudliwa imali kwangempela, and namanje usafakwa imali. And one has just got a feeling yokuthi uyazi ukuthi kuna le commission eqhubekayo njengamanje yakwa-SAPS, maybe this department needs the same thing, ukuthi ke kungene nje kuyona ku-check ukuthi what is happening. And I don't know ukuthi how do we feel about it. Uma ngabe uyolala nje ekhaya ucabanga ukuthi kunabantu esithi sizama ukushintsha impilo zabo, but akukhombisi ukuthi simisela ukwenza lokho. And njengoba ngishilo ngathi abantu abaningi abanalezi inkinga zalezi ndlu abantu abamnyama esithi sibabhekelele, but indlela esenza ngayo senze ngazuthi siza abantu nje kusiza abantu nje for the sake of doing it. Ngiyafisa ukuthi chair uyinikeze into yokuthi mhlawumbe wena qobo lakho njengosihlalo ukukhulume uqinisa amagama akho with this department, because honestly I feel like sigcina iqala, and it's so boring. Uyazi ukuthi ubuka abanye ama-officials la uyababona ukuthi bakhathele bona qobo lwabo to be in this meeting, because into ekhulunywayo it's like uyabona irecord uma ngabe selikhathele likade dlalo. It's exactly what is happening, and it's frustrating kuthina esila sikhona. Ingakho umuntu ezibe nale feeling ukuthi mhlambe kuyadingeka ukuthi ke kungene ithimba likaMkhwanazi ke lithi ukuqalaza ukuthi what is happening ukuze kube khona abantu abazonyakaziswa if need be, and abantu abafana nathi la sikhona as abamele umphakathi ayisijabulisa ukubona into eyenzakalayo, indlela okuphendulwa ngayo nayo qobo lwayo. You know, umuntu bebuka lento kaSibiye usungazi ukuthi abanye oSibiye, because impendulo zakhona ayicaci nje kahle ukuthi kuthiwani. You know, it's just ngazi ukuthi kuyakwenzelwa nje ukuthi ngiphendulile kungenile kwi-record ukuthi ngiyaphendula and that's it. Ngiyacela nje ake sithathe lento serious. Uma ngabe kuwukuthi omasipala basuke benikezwe lama project nathi i-province no nationally, uma ngabe kuwukuthi unesandla kulento mhlambe kubalekile kwesinye isikhathi ke sibuka ukuthi akufuneki ukuthi labantu bobathathu behlangane, these three bodies, national, i-province, omasipala, ikibukwe kahle lento ukuthi ngempela what do we want to achieve, noma sila ngoba kuwukuthi sizothika i-box ukuthi siyasebenza. Thank you, Chair.
Asongidlulile wena mhlonishwa. Uza mfowethu.
No, sibonge sibingelele wonke amalunga la endlini. No, sekuzoba ncane Chair, nami engizofaka khona kodwa umuntu uyathanda nje ukuyifaka lento le eqeda ukukhulunywa Honorable Mabaso. Honestly, we're going for a second year, and we've been noticing these guys ukuthi kahle ngathi sime endaweni eyi-1, and I've picked up this thing yokuthi maniza la nisuke niplanile ukuthi niyopresenta, kodwa kunalento leyo ukuthi nisuke niyitshela ukuthi niyopresenta ebantwini ngathi abacabangi. Kunama project you just presented ukuthi kunama stalled project. Look, check the information. Just okay. Today, it's present. You Ninama projects are 16 uploaded, and go now 10 are unblocked. Angazi ukuthi nisakhumbula ukuthi last time you talked about 46 projects, and it looks like kunama project awu 20 engasitshelanga ngawo manje. Okunye engizofuna ukukuchecka indaba yokuthi how do you really track the track how do you really track the blocked and unblocked projects? Because mangithi ngiyabuka it looks like kuningi nidoji kukhona. And ngiyithandile lento yokuthi sizocela next time chair kenenze indlela yokuthi mayizoba khona i-department kube khona wonke ama-departments from kumasipala if kuwukuthi fanele kube khona nale babe khona bonke ngesikhathi esisodwa, because it looks like isithole enye information siphinde sidibane nabanye sithole enye information. Now siyacela nje kodwa kukho konke ukuthi asibe nokubambisana, ningasenzi masinibuka sibone ngathi kuningi enidoji kukhona. Sila okuzopresenta umphakathi fanele futhi sazi ukuthi kwenzakalani. Njengayo nje le project yaseThuba Elihle ngoba besikhuluma ngayo, ayikho i-project esihlukumeza njengaleya project. Mina nje ngihlale ngendlula kuyona almost every day mangiye Zululand. Leya project imile, but nihlale nisitshela imali nihlale ni-injector. Nihlale ni-injector but imile kunalokho futhi. Mawuthi uyayibuka ngoba ngihlale ngendlula kuyona almost every day. Uyayibona ukuthi kahle kahle ziyaphela leza zindlu kunokuthi kube khona i-improvement. But ngapha njalo mani present and nikhuluma ukuthi senifake so much. So we are very concerned. Besicela sibe nje nendlela yokuthi sibe nokubambisana sivikele leyo ukuthi mase nibuzwa sebe seniyaqala nibangathi nifana noSibiya. Oba siyabuka manje maniphendula ukuthi senivele nifane noSibiya uphendule enye into kade ubuzwe enye into. Siyabonga Chair.
Thank you very much, honorable members, for the comments and the questions. I think I will just add my last 2 cents. A lot of it has been covered by the honorable members, so that I afford the department the opportunity to also then respond to the comments and the questions that were raised. I think it's indeed correct what the latter speaker has indicated around the number of stalled projects. If you recall, in the meeting of was it October 2024, the number of these blocked, stalled projects was sitting at around 46. That was the report presented by the department, not by us. I understand then thereafter the department took an exercise to review that number in line with the national guidelines on what constitutes a stalled or a failed project. And upon that review or analysis, if you will, the number then reduced to 26, which includes the 16 blocked and the 10 unblocked. I think the bigger question is then what happens to the other 20? Because for us, the point of departure is that regardless whether these are stalled or they're not, but in terms of the occupation of those units, because they were designed for occupation. So in other words, there are people who are supposed to be living inside those units. So when they were reported to us initially, it was 46. Then you classified them, categorized them, and then you recognized that, okay, 20 of these do not belong here. So the question, in essence, is that where are those 20 now? Because they are no longer appearing in any of the reports, whether stalled or unblocked. So we see that they're no longer in the report, but the members would want to have an appreciation of the progress insofar as those projects are concerned. Because if they're no longer being reported under stalled, and they're no longer being reported under unblocked, but at some point they were reported as projects with problems. So where are they in the system? I think that's an important question for the members to have an understanding. On the report that was presented as a Thuba Lethu, I think I want to jump in and add my 2 cents in that project as well. It is true that it's a project that in the face of the community, I think what makes it worse is that it's just there on the main road. And so everyone sees it. If I was meeting by myself, I would have rejected the report, Makakul. And I'll tell you why. When you present a recovery plan on any institution, I think there are basic aspects of a recovery plan that honorable members would want to see. So you have highlighted a number of things that need to be done by the different stakeholders. But it being a recovery plan, it then fell short of the timelines on when those things will be done. And in the absence of that, we are unlikely going to fall into a situation where in the next meeting we will get some form of progress, but we will not be able to measure whether the other stakeholders have been moving or not. I don't want to delay the meeting by requesting that Tubaletu presentation to be flighted, but if you go through the number of issues that needed to be addressed, whether it's water, whether it's sewer, there is a narrative that paints a picture of what is going on, and that's fine, it's acceptable. But there are instances where a contractor was handed over on 2 September. But then thereafter, we don't know what to expect and by when. And so it limits us in terms of how then do we monitor in the next meeting whether the responsible stakeholders have been able to meet their targets. Because for us to track progress in regard to the projects as a Tubaletu, we do need to be strict to all the stakeholders, not just the department, the municipality as well, EDTA as well, because they are on the side of the EIA. There's the municipality on the side of the bulk, then there's the department and so on, and other stakeholders. There's the local, there's the districts and so forth. But if we as a committee are presented this report without the specific details on, you know, the responsibilities and the attached timelines, then it sort of, it gives us a problem. I'm submitting it as a comment to review the presentation in that regard. The only question that I will have, I think it's the Charlton housing project. Is it Charlestown? Yes. I think you indicated that for that project to move, in the interim, you need about 6 boreholes or 5 boreholes or something of that nature. And that would actually cause the project then to move. And based on the amounts that were budgeted and the amounts spent, it appears that there might be monies available for the project. I don't know. But it says that the project cannot move because of the boreholes and so forth. Are there any, again, timelines attached to the procurement of those boreholes, procurement process? Or can we find ourselves in the next meeting being told that the project has not moved because we're waiting for boreholes? So who is responsible? Is it the municipality? Is it the department? If it's the municipality, how far are they with their procurement process? If it's the department, the same question applies. And my last word is that in the main, questions and the comments that are being raised by the honorable members really have to do with, at the heart of it all, the urgency. I think there's almost a question of urgency. How swift are we moving to deal with the issues? If the Honorable Mabaso is, you know, emphatically expressing that in almost 2 years, the reports are not showing any significant movement insofar as the urgency to deliver, then what it says, HOD, is that with almost every report that is tabled in this committee, there almost has to be a commitment of when, more than what is being done, but the question of when, and the question of who is responsible for that. Because what that will do is that it will empower this committee that in the next meeting, instead of moving on to other reports, we will simply stick to the minutes of the previous meeting and say that based on these minutes, Makakula committed this by this. Makakula has not done that. Why? So instead of us moving to new reports in every meeting, perhaps we should start meeting to discuss minutes of the previous meeting, because in every meeting, we do make these commitments. And then for some reason, the next meeting we move to new presentations. And then we come back a year later to the other stuff. So I would just want to emphasize that as an overall comment, as you respond to the specific questions that were asked. I think mine were comments more than anything. Let me give the Honorable Masigo first, and then you can come in.
Chair, it's a request. I didn't put it through. Apologies, because I thought the meeting would finish on time. I'm chairing the quality of life meeting that ought to have started at 11, so I request formally to be excused. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Firstly, honorable members, we have taken ownership as a department to say these 12 projects which are blocked as a result of bulk infrastructure. At the time of implementation as a department, there was no need to implement these projects, because if integrated planning and due diligence was done at that time, a decision would have been taken that there is no need to start this project, because building a structure at the end, you then say there is no bulk infrastructure will of no use. We have taken ownership to say as a department, together with other stakeholders, we were wrong to start the construction without due diligence to ensure that there is necessary infrastructure for these projects when they are completed. We've taken that ownership, right? I don't want to go to a question that says, why did we do it? But we're saying it was wrong. And we have said in this committee, it will never happen again. We're not going to start a project without ensuring that there is adequate bulk infrastructure so that upon completion, people will take occupation. Now, when we check with those who were there, they are saying to us, district municipalities gave department letters of commitment to say there will be bulk or there is bulk. Upon completion of these houses, then there is no bulk. Now, the question may be that we should have seen it when 2 or 3 houses have been completed. Because we've built more than 400 houses, then there's a problem. Now you go back to planning. So we're saying we're taking ownership and we're saying it won't happen again. Now, moving forward, in terms of do we have progress or not? We're saying in this committee, already 10 projects have been unblocked. 10. To us, it may not be enough, but that is progress. And we are saying in this committee, before April 2026, further 4 projects will be unblocked. We'll be left with the 10 projects. So there is time frame in terms of what is within our power as a department. Now, we will be left with 12 projects, and the solution is dependent on water authorities, both the district municipalities and local municipalities, which are water authorities. Maybe what then we'll do, as I've requested, that next time when we report on this issue, we'll only deal with progress because background has been given. We'll be in a position now to say we've engaged all affected water authorities. This is the time frame they have given us to say this project will be bulk will be provided by this time. So we'll do so because we'll be giving progress. But we're saying there's something on the ground, but the things that are beyond our control, as a department, we cannot provide the bulk infrastructure for these local municipalities because of a limited budget. But we'll give those timeframes. Now, the other question, the committee says last year we presented 46 blocked projects. Now we are presenting 26. What happened to 20 projects? Firstly, Honorable Chairperson has partly covered that part to say there is a criteria of a blocked project, which was presented in this meeting. Now I want them to respond to what happened to these other projects. As a department, we have analyzed and we have identified number of projects to be closed without reaching intended yield because of number of issues. To say, well, like for example, this project was meant to deliver 1,000 houses, but it has delivered 950. So we're closing one. It doesn't fall under the requirement of a blocked project. Secondly, there is no way that you can unblock that project. So there is a list of projects to be closed. Now, with the beneficiaries who are affected, we have created a K holding number. So those beneficiaries, their records will be kept in a K holding number. Then we are going then to respond through Operation Sukumasake so that if then 50 people did not get their houses in that project to be closed, we'll then respond through Operation Sukumasake. So I'm responding to that question that says, where are the 20 projects that were reported last time? And I must say, projects to be closed are more than 20, in terms of the cleaning process that we've done. And we have information. If then this committee wants to see those projects to be closed, information is readily available. In our next meeting, we'll be in a position to show a committee to say, we have taken a decision that this project will be closed for these reasons. Beneficiaries who could not benefit will benefit through Operation Sukumasake. So that is the response, Chair. Where we are seated, we may not have necessary agency, but we are trying our level best to turn around the situation. Where we are lacking in terms of clear timelines, we'll ensure that we effect those timelines so that when we present next time, we close all those gaps. Thank you, Chair.
All right. Thank you very much, colleagues. We have unfortunately run out of time. Our session ought to have ended at 10:30, and it's approaching 11:30. That being said, we want to appreciate the presentations by the department, and I also want to caution the department insofar as the issues that were raised by the honorable members and heed to the call that was made. I think in our next meeting, which will be coming soon, we will be looking at the discussions that we had today more than anything else. The key projects, your Tubaletus and the likes. I'm not giving out the agenda per se, but I'm simply highlighting that the mode of operation that we're going to use is that we're going to focus on the commitments that we're making in these meetings and seeing if there's any movement with regards to the commitments that we're making. I want to also appreciate the colleagues from eThekwini municipality for honoring the invitation, for presenting, and for also making that commitment to engage with that community. I think based on the commitment that you guys have made to meet with that community before the end of November, would really appreciate in the best interest of that community, because you must understand that you're not meeting them to please us, but you're meeting them because it's in the best interest of governance. So please do meet with that community. HOD, you'd give us a report on how things went. The honorable member indicated that we do now encourage meeting with municipalities that are involved. Where there are issues with the municipality, we'd like to have that municipality present. Because at times what happens, HOD may be in good faith, but sometimes you tend to shield some of the stakeholders from wrongdoing. And the honorable members want the stakeholders involved to directly account, more so when they're getting monies from the department, so that we really get to the bottom of, the issues. So eThekwini has taken lead in coming forward. We do hope eThekwini municipality who have not interrogated you like the Madlanga Commission that Umabas was referring to. But the spirit, colleagues, is that if their money is being spent, whether from a municipality or the department, if the monies are intended for a particular outcome, that outcome must be met in the best interest of the communities that we serve. I think it's in that spirit. I would then respectfully release the officials from the department and the eThekwini municipality. There's just there are reports that we need to adopt as a committee. Honorable members, it will not take more than 2 minutes. But colleagues which have joined virtually as officials may also be released. If we could just be left with the honorable members of the legislature only. Thank you very much, HOD and colleagues. Travel safe, colleagues. Thank you, honorable members. May I start by apologizing for the delay in concluding this meeting. We should have finished almost an hour ago. But I'm sure you realize that the delay was not caused by myself in chairing the meeting, but we just had a lot of reports, and I think we miscalculated the amount of time it would take us to conclude the meeting. I think what we can do better next time is to reduce the number of reports. Instead of having a lot of reports, have a few so that we engage them thoroughly. Because this thing of having a lot of reports, like the Honorable Mabas was saying, then the meetings become a tick box exercise. We'd rather interrogate Tubaletu for 2 hours and leave instead of doing 10 projects and not having enough time to interrogate each. So I think that's a learning Kev, from my part and the colleagues in front, that maybe let's reduce the number of projects in our meeting so we have enough time to engage. Honorable members, it's just a small exercise. The colleagues who are assisting us from the legislature indicated that we have minutes from our previous meetings that we forgot to adopt. And procedurally, we're supposed to adopt those minutes. And that's why we are left behind. So the aim is to have honorable members propose for the adoption of the minutes of our previous meeting. And then we're done with the meeting for today. That is the item. So I'll take them as a one by one. Yeah, it's going to take time. Okay. So procedurally, I'm told that we must take them one by one. So it's item 10.1.1, minutes of 01/04/2025. Can I have movers for the adoption of those committee documents, the minutes? We're not going to go through them.
Chair, I just want to check to you that since we've got this sets of minutes with you,
Yes.
now you want us to adopt it?
Yes. So
Maybe let's see the attendance first of the members. Maybe we say adopt the meeting and yet we were not in that meeting.
yes. So you can show us there, because we can see who was in that meeting. It's a good statement, Honorable Nkwanyan, so that you don't adopt minutes of a meeting you were not there. Yeah. I think everyone was present in that meeting. There's the attendance there, but of course, if we can just zoom in a bit. Thank you. Yes, we were all there. Were there any apologies there? Yeah, those were the apologies. The honorable members who were present in the meeting, can we move for the adoption of those minutes? It was the budget. This one was the budget hearing when they were presenting to us the budget.
Yeah.
And Sakumbul, honorable members.
No, I think I remember, Chair.
Okay.
No, we'll move for the adoption of the meeting.
Honorable Mabas. Seconded by the Honorable Mkiza. Thank you. Can you move to the second one? Yeah, I think what we must do in the future, instead of piling up these minutes, can't we have them at every at every meeting? Yeah, so that maybe in our next meeting, let's have them. Honorable members, just for clarity, adopting these minutes doesn't change what was discussed. So if, for example, MK Party voted against, ANC voted in support, it doesn't change that. It's a procedural thing that minutes must be adopted. Yes, Honorable Mike.
Chair, ngicela ukubuza man.
Yes.
ngifuna ukuchecka why sasingawa-adoptanga ngaleso sikhathi masiwenza.
No, it's a good question, which I think I'm addressing, Mangiti. The nature of our meetings, in fact, with most committees, because sonke sihlala kuma-committee ahlukile, we really never have that item of minutes of the previous meeting. We always go through the presentations, and then after maybe a quarter, 3 months, then we are told to adopt minutes. And I'm saying it's wrong. Should not be done that way. What we should be doing is that in our next meeting, we should be looking at minutes that were you see, like for today's meeting. Our minutes today should be considered in the next meeting.
Yes.
But for committees, none in our attend the portfolio committees, it's not how it is happening. It's supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
So I think we are correcting what was being done in the wrong way. I'm admitting to that. It should not have been the case. Because in other portfolio meetings that I attend as well, not as a chair, as a member, after a quarter, we're told, okay, today we are meeting to adopt the report, the minutes, and this and this. And the truth is, most of the time, you've even forgotten some of the discussions. So I'm not going to defend it. It's been done in the legislature in a way that it's not supposed to have been done.
Yeah, now ungasizwa kabi chair ukuthi ezinye izinto yabona fanele sibuye siyibhalansise sibe neshow ukuthi kwathina sisayifini.
No, yeah.
Senze into kuthiwa nombe nayo ndavuma yonke into.
No, you're correct.
So ngithi akubuze yabo.
In fact, honorable member, that one is not even about your own party, but I think it's in the best interest of everyone, all the parties involved. Ukuhlala nama-reports anga-adoptiwe unyaka wonke bese wa-adopta end of the year should not be practice. Yeah, we can't defend that. Yeah, so the next one is minutes of 19 June 2025. Honorable Kwanyan.
Thank you, Chair. I just move the adoption of that meeting of 1025.
Moved by the Honorable Kwanyana.
Second, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Maika. The next one is 10.1.3 minutes of 24 July 2025. Can we have the mover and the seconder? If you can show them on the screen, Bapnkosi, especially the attendance there. The Honorable Kokul.
Thank you, Chair. I move for the adoption.
Thank you, Honorable Kokul. Any seconder? Honorable Kwanyana. Yeah, the last one is from last month, 9 September 2025. Those were members who attended. We check for the mover and seconder, then we're done. Honorable Kwanyana.
I move the adoption of the minutes, Chair.
Thank you. Any seconder?
Chair, I move for the second adoption of the
Thank you so much, Kabaze. That brings us to the end of our meeting. Honorable members, I want to express my gratitude to all of you for attending the meeting. I do make a commitment, honorable members, that in the next meetings, we will not have an item of adopting so many minutes. It's unprofessional on my part, and I do sincerely apologize. I will also be making the same recommendation in other portfolio committee meetings that I attend, to also recommend that we adopt minutes every time we have a meeting, so that we avoid what just transpired. My sincere apologies on that part. Yeah, in fact, honorable members, it will help us to address what we just spoke about with the department. If we go through the minutes in their presence for our own adoption, but we'll also be getting an opportunity to engage them on the commitments that will be coming out of the minutes. Like today, they've made quite a number of commitments. They will attend to these reports, they will amend this, they will commit these dates, they will meet in November. They made all of these things. So when we review the minutes in our next meeting, we will then be getting more questions out of those minutes. We will see, what have you done now based on what's coming out of the minutes? So it will be easier for us to adopt and also hold them accountable. So thank you for that insight and that those recommendations, honorable members. That being said, thank you for your attendance. The meeting is officially adjourned. Do travel safe and have a blessed weekend. Thank you. Step by step.